Yu dodged sharply, avoiding the golden spear, but the talisman paper exploded, announcing the failure of this talisman creation. The next several attempts all failed at the critical moment of forming the spiritual nexus. Either the golden spear would retaliate and the talisman paper would explode, or the golden spear would dissipate, resulting in a useless talisman. Failure isn't scary. Being able to find the problem is a successful failure. Or rather, a very successful failure, Yu muttered to himself. Connecting with a high-grade talisman is truly extraordinary. Every type of talisman paper has a different phenomenon. Forming the spiritual nexus is equivalent to sealing a spell onto the paper, so suffering a backlash is normal. It seems. I'll have to use that thing. Thinking of this, Yu opened his mouth and spat out a small fluorescent sword. After more than 3 years of refinement, this talisman sword already had 8 spiritual apertures, giving it power equivalent to a high-grade magical artifact. Besides combat, this talisman sword could also be used to assist in talisman creation. Yu chanted an incantation, and soon, the talisman sword transformed into a small silver seal.
Let's try again.
Yu continued to write and draw the talisman. When he began to form the spiritual nexus, a golden spear once again appeared on the paper. This time, before the golden spear could activate, Yu commanded the small silver seal transformed from his talisman sword to directly suppress the golden spear, forcefully pressing it into the talisman paper. For a moment, the entire talisman vibrated violently, as if it would explode at any second. Seizing this opportunity, Yu's brush moved like a dragon, swiftly forming the spiritual nexus and successfully drawing a golden spear talisman. With the creation of the golden spear talisman, his first glimpse of the door had finally reached 31,000. He had successfully created a mystic rank, high-grade spiritual talisman. Yu had officially become a 3rd-rank talisman master. And his basic talisman crafting art was promoted, becoming the ultimate talisman crafting art.
Ultimate talisman crafting art.
From now on, you will be able to master all low-level talismans much faster. This meant that his speed of gaining experience and leveling up his proficiency would be much faster. Yu poured a considerable amount of life experience into the golden spear talisman, raising it to the level of skillful practice. Then, with a burst of energy, he continued to draw spiritual talismans. However, this time he was more cautious, adding a hidden inscription to the golden spear talisman. A hidden inscription was a secret backdoor within a talisman, undetectable to others. It wouldn't cause any problems during normal use, but if this golden spear talisman was ever used against Yu himself, he could activate the inscription and cause it to backfire on the user. One must be vigilant against others. I hope this hidden inscription will never be needed, he thought. Half a month later, Yu successfully completed Ho Haitao's commission, 10 Yang warding talismans, 10 shadowless talismans, and 10 golden spear talismans each. He had only used about a third of the prepared talisman paper. The remaining paper naturally belonged to the talisman master. This was the rule. Next, Yu went to the Hall of 100 Affairs and exchanged all the contribution points he had accumulated over the years, totaling over 200. He first spent 120 points to redeem a high-grade talisman brush from the sect. A good brush was like adding wings to a tiger for a talisman master. Then, he went to the Myriad Laws Pavilion. He found many jade slips, mostly maps of the 100,000 mountains and the experiences of various predecessors. These things weren't cultivation techniques or spells, so they weren't expensive. At the entrance of the Myriad Laws Pavilion, a young man in a brocade robe was lazily lying on a desk, looking slovenly. Yu had a faint impression of this brocade-robed youth. It was Ling Yun, with whom he had once crossed paths. Ling Yun seemed extremely tired. One eye was closed, the other half open, as he said listlessly, "This Dragon Sparrow Phantom Shadow Jade Slip is worth 24 contribution points. The remaining jade slips are 1 contribution point each. A total of 62 contribution points." Yu took out his disciple token, and with a wave of his hand, several points of light flew out, deducting the corresponding contribution points. Ling Yun yawned and pointed behind him. Behind him stood a sign with several lines of large characters written on it. All jade slips from the Myriad Laws Pavilion are not to be shared externally and must be returned within 1 month. It also said that true disciples were an exception. The Leong sect was divided into outer disciples, inner disciples, and true disciples. Among them, true disciples were all backed by golden core spirit lords or nascent soul ancestors, and their status was even higher than that of ordinary elders. As per tradition, Yu made a new demonic oath, vowing never to share the contents, and then left with the jade slips. Just as Yu stepped out, Ling Yun, seemingly inadvertently, glanced at Yu's back.
A sense of alarm inexplicably rose in Bayu's at.
He felt the gaze and a hint of killing intent. This killing intent flashed by, extremely well concealed. But Yu was an innate martial artist. His 6 senses were spiritually connected, making him extremely sensitive to all kinds of gazes. Otherwise, he would not have caught that killing intent. This Ling Yun looked down and out, but he was definitely not simple. Yu grew vigilant in his heart, but on the surface, he remained as calm as ever, not showing the slightest flaw. Returning to Zuowang Peak, Yu began to take out the various jade slips to examine them.
Dragon Sparrow Phantom Shadow.
Compatibility with divine form horse armor, 53%. Compatibility with sky soaring art, 68%. This is a celestial path movement technique, powered by spiritual energy. Its rank is not high, but it can be integrated with 2 other spells. Bayou smiled faintly. He invested life experience to fuse the 3 spells. Fusion successful. Obtained mystic rank, high-grade technique, Dragon Soaring Divine Form Art. Dragon Soaring Divine Form Art, minor accomplishment. When powered by spiritual energy, allows for nimble turning, soaring, or flying in the air. Bayou tested it. Although the speed of the Dragon Soaring Divine Form Art was not as fast as sword riding, its advantage was that it was quieter and more agile. The following days, Bayou became busy. Every half a month, he would go out, either to the market or to the Tianxi Society's private exchange meetings. 3 months later, he received a message from Ho Haitao and left Zwawang Peak, finding Ho Haitao with another person. Ho Haitao laughed, "Junior brother Bai, your skills are truly superb. You actually managed to create 3 types of spiritual talismans within 3 months." Bayou looked at the person next to him. "And this senior brother's esteemed surname is?" "My humble surname is Go," the man said. "Yes, the Go that means dog." The man who said this was so thin he looked like a skeleton wrapped in a layer of skin. Only his 2 eyes shone with a brilliant light. Bayou cupped his hands. "So it is senior brother Go. My surname is Bai, the Bai in black and white." The nearby Ho Haitao said, "Junior brother Bai, senior brother Go is 2 batches ahead of us. He was the one who commissioned you to create the spiritual talismans." Bayou nodded and handed over a package.
13 Golden Spear Talisman, 13 Young Guarding Talisman, and 11 Shadow Talisman. This is the best he could do.
Ho Haitao was overjoyed. "Enough, more than enough. This has already exceeded our expectations." He also handed Bayou 2 bags. "Junior brother Bai, this is your payment, and the spirit stones from selling the last batch of talismans. A total of 700 spirit stones. Junior brother, you can count them." The last batch of talismans was worth around 310 spirit stones, and the payment this time was also over 300. Ho Haitao was an honest man, not greedy at all, and even gave a little extra. Bayou put away the storage bags and smiled. "Senior brother Ho, you're being too formal. We're so familiar, why would I need to count?"
We are all smart people.
Ho Haitao wouldn't be foolish enough to offend a second-ranked talisman master over a few spirit stones. At this moment, senior brother Go suddenly said to Bayou, "Junior brother Bai, I wonder if you have any interest in earning some extra cash? I have a business that's short on manpower. If junior brother Bai is willing to join, the annual dividend will be no less than this number." He held up his fingers, making the number 2. Ho Haitao lowered his voice. "That's 2,000 spirit stones, not 200. That's more than several years of your income from selling talismans, junior brother." Bayou was stunned. What kind of business is so profitable? And why come to me to join? A business more profitable than being a proper talisman master was probably not so proper. He decisively shook his head and refused. "I'm flattered that you 2 senior brothers think so highly of me, but I've never been very capable.
He really can't on the business matters.
You 2 should find someone more qualified." As a seeker of longevity, there was no need to take such risks for a few spirit stones. Ho Haitao urged, "Junior brother, time flies. If you don't take advantage of your youth to earn more spirit stones for pills to strive for foundation establishment, you'll be left with nothing in your old age. If you don't take a gamble, are you really content, junior brother?"
Bayou shook his head.
"All my life, I've only enjoyed drawing a few talismans. Whether I reach foundation establishment or not isn't that important. As for today's matter, I know nothing. Senior brother Ho, please don't try to persuade me further." Ho Haitao sighed heavily. "No matter what you think, junior brother Bai, I'm definitely going to take this gamble. How can one give up so easily on the path of cultivation and seeking immortality?" Beside them, senior brother Go smiled at Bayou. "Since junior brother Bai is devoted to the path of talismans, we won't disturb you any longer. I hope we have a chance to cooperate in the future." But that one glance made the hair on Bayou's back stand on end.
Kiingant. Bayou sensed a strong wave of Kiingant.
He showed no trace of it on his face, smiling warmly as he saw the 2 senior brothers off. Only after returning to his residence and fully activating the 8 trigrams cloud light formation did he drop his smile. "Strange. I live a peaceful life on Zwawang Peak. Why would this senior brother Go have killing intent towards me? Even if a deal falls through, goodwill should remain. I didn't even participate at all, so why the killing intent?" Bayou pondered over and over but couldn't figure out the reason. He even wondered if his senses were mistaken. Have I been on Zwawang Peak for too long, and my martial Dao's spiritual sense has dulled? I hope it was just a mistake. But if someone dares to disturb my peace, I will make them regret it for a lifetime. I haven't disposed of a body in many years. Making a disciple disappear without a trace within the sect was extremely difficult. This was both a restriction and a protection. If he really had to make a move, the so-called beast hunt would be the best opportunity. My original preparations are not enough. I need to add a few more trump cards. Bai worked almost non-stop, making ample preparations for the upcoming beast hunt. 2 months later, the beast hunt arrived as scheduled. When Bai reached the sect's main plaza, Liu Beichen and Shi Jian were already there. Liu Beichen said, "Old Bai, how are your preparations? Are you confident?" Bai patted his chest. "Don't worry with me here, you guys will definitely get a good beating." Liu Beichen retorted, "Get lost. If you dare to drag us down, Shi Tu and I will come to your place for hot pot every single day." The three of them started joking and bickering. Bai was laughing on the outside, but in his heart, he had made a decision. First, he could not reveal his true strength. Second, he could not hold back Shi Jian and Liu Beichen. In a one-on-one arena, Liu Beichen was ranked in the top dozen, while Shi Jian was around the 80s. So for this three-person team hunt, their goal should be the top 10. As the three were chatting happily, they suddenly heard a thunderous voice roar, "Liu Beichen, you motherfucker, you dare to show your face." A man with a wild beard, hair standing on end, and a body like a stout bear appeared. He stared daggers at Liu Beichen, his eyes practically shooting fire as he strode over. Coincidentally, Bai was standing between the two. The bearded man, annoyed that Bai was in his way, reached out to push him. However, his push didn't even budge Bai.
The bearded man roared, "Get out of the way. Don't block the path."
Bai said faintly, "Even a 3-year-old knows to go around an obstacle." The bearded man's eyes widened. "Kid, do you not fucking know who I am?" Bai was intrigued.
"Why should he know who you are?"
The bearded man was enraged. "I was 4th place in the finals of the last sect competition." Bai feigned realization. "Ah, the finals. Then I really don't know you. I've never even made it past the 2nd round." Bai's tone was one of righteous pride. This completely threw the bearded man off. Was not even passing the 2nd round something to be proud of? Just then, Liu Beichen walked over. "Lei Bao, how many times have I told you? Senior sister Wu Xia and I are innocent." Hearing this, Lei Bao, the bearded man, grew even more furious.
"You motherfucker. I'm going to kill you today."
Liu Beichen said, "Lei Bao, think carefully. This time it's 3 against 1.
The 3 of us against you."
3 against 1? Lei Bao bellowed at the top of his lungs, "Everyone come quickly. Liu Beichen, that bastard, is here." A dozen figures emerged from the crowd, quickly surrounding them. Liu Beichen's face turned pale, and he repeatedly cried out, "Qin Hu, you have to believe me, your wife and I have a purely platonic relationship. 6th senior brother, your wife made the first move. Brother He, listen to my explanation. That day, Sister Ding and I were just watching the moon." Good heavens, what had Liu Beichen been up to all these years? Even Bai was speechless hearing Liu Beichen's words. What had this guy been doing all this time? Hitting on girls was one thing, but he was also stealing other people's partners. The key was, as a eunuch, his body couldn't be used for anything. What was the point of all this? Actually, you couldn't really blame Liu Beichen. He was handsome, and his body was full of young energy, a perfect sunny and cheerful boy. This alone could make a host of female cultivators fall for him. On top of that, he had a sun body, which meant he couldn't touch women. This made him seem even more alluring, a sort of forbidden fruit. This ascetic style made him even more popular. It could be said that he had hit on almost every female disciple of this generation in the Leiyang sect, not even sparing the old cleaning lady at the Hall of Hundred Affairs. Although it was all chaste flirting, it had garnered him a mountain of hatred. At this moment, a group of men surrounded them, their eyes spitting fire. Liu Beichen's face was ashen. He said to Shi Jian and Bai, "There are 18 of them, and 3 of us.
18 against 3.
I think we're done for this time." Bai replied, "What 18 against 3? It's clearly 20 against 1.
The only one who has done for is you."
With that, he skillfully turned and joined the enemy's ranks. Shi Jian hesitated for a moment and then also defected. What a joke. If Liu Beichen was genuinely being bullied, they would definitely help. But this bastard was going around hitting on girls and stealing partners. He deserved to be taught a lesson. He should have expected a big guy to jump out of a corner and beat him up when he was busy digging at someone else's wall.
Liu Beichen was furious. "Olbe, Shi Tu, we are good brothers.
Are you just going to stand there and watch your brother get bullied and do nothing?" Shi Jian scratched his head. That does seem a bit wrong. Bai pulled a suona from his waist. "Who said I'm doing nothing? While you're getting beaten, I can provide the musical accompaniment. Go on, what song would you like to hear?"
Bai blew a loud note on the suona, the sound piercing everyone's ear.
Liu Beichen took this opportunity to slip into the crowd like a squid. Lei Bao and the others took a moment to recover and then chased after him. Liu Beichen's movement technique was excellent. He weaved through the crowd, slippery as an eel, and no one could catch him. At this point, Shi Jian felt a pang of pity. "Brother Bai, are we just going to stand here and watch? It doesn't seem right. Bai Yu slapped his forehead, pulling out melon seeds, a stool, and some herbal tea. Watching while standing is indeed not right.
Come, let's sit and watch.
The two of them sat on small stools, even pulling out Lao Mo to crack melon seeds and watch the show. In this kind of situation, Lei Bao and his group wouldn't actually kill him. Harming a fellow disciple was a serious offense. In a private room of the Thunder Law Hall, a powerful pressure suddenly swept across the plaza. The thousands of people in the square instantly fell silent. A tall, burly middle-aged Taoist priest suddenly appeared in the sky above the plaza. It was a golden core spirit lord. I am Lai Lazy, the chief examiner of this beast hunt. The competition will take place in the 100,000 mountains. You will hunt beasts in teams of 3. You will be ranked based on the value of the beast materials you collect. The value of spirit grasses and materials will be halved when calculated into your score. Bai Yu listened with interest. This competition method was quite interesting. It wasn't just a test of strength, but a comprehensive assessment of beast hunting experience, wisdom, and even judgment. At this moment, Lai Lazy shouted, "Enough nonsense. Board the ship." With a wave of his large sleeve, a silver-white flying ship, as large as a small mountain, appeared in the void, blocking out the sun. Bai Yu followed the other disciples onto the flying ship. The ship moved like a rainbow, covering 1,000 miles in an instant. Half a day later, the ship stopped above a lush green forest. Lai Lazy said, "This is the boundless forest, vast and endless.
The ship will pass through the forest.
Find a suitable time to disembark. Most importantly, each of you has a wind-fire seal. Do not lose it. If you encounter danger, crush it, and a Foundation Establishment disciple will come to your aid." A group of stewards then came forward and distributed a pale red jade plaque to each person.
À moment laté, the flying ship started moving again.
Disciples began to jump off in groups of 2 or 3. The number of people jumping off was high at first, then dwindled. Bai Yu saw that less than a tenth of the people remained and said, "You too, let's go down too." The 3 of them rode their swords down and landed in the endless, boundless forest. The moment they landed, Bai Yu immediately stuck several spiritual talismans on himself, a Vajra talisman, an Earth Prison talisman, and a Unity talisman. Then, he raised a black iron shield to protect himself. The life-saving windfire seal was tied to his wrist, ready to be crushed at any moment. Shi Jian and Liu Beichen watched, dumbfounded. "Old Bai, it's just a beast hunt. Do you need to be this careful?" Bai Yu didn't explain much. He popped a few pills into his mouth and handed the pill bottle to the other 2. Barrier pill, insect repellent pill, toxin cleansing pill. 1 for each of you, to avoid miasma and poisonous insects. He then took out another bottle and sprinkled some green juice on himself.
1 grasse de whey.
It can neutralize a person's scent and help you blend in completely with the forest. You should use some too. Bai Yu even gave some to Lao Mo. This whole process left Shi Jian and Liu Beichen stunned. Good heavens, this was the definition of being steady as an old dog. An inexplicable sense of security filled their hearts, and they also began to apply the preparations. Soon, the 3 humans and 1 dog began to move through the forest. As they were advancing, they suddenly saw a large tree ahead of them rustling, and the grass and trees were bent and broken. A 2-headed giant python was chasing a wild boar. One head of the python was bright red like fire, the other as black as ink. Its 4 eyes, like lanterns, looked towards Bai Yu's group of 3. Bai Yu saw it and whispered, "An ice-fire python, a 3rd-rank demonic beast, equivalent to a Qi refinement level 7 to 9 cultivator. Its direct combat power is slightly superior to a cultivator of the same level. It possesses innate ice and fire spells. Its combat strength ranks low among 3rd-rank demonic beasts." Liu Beichen heard this and smiled. "Good heavens, old Bai, you've done your homework too thoroughly. It's free points delivered to our door. What are we waiting for?"
Shitu, let's go.
Shi Jian took out a bluestone shield and charged forward. Several earthen spikes condensed on the shield and shot towards the ice-fire python. Meanwhile, Liu Beichen, holding a longsword, stepped on the trees and rapidly closed in. Seeing the 2 approach, the ice-fire python hissed. One of its heads spat out fireballs, while the other spewed a thick white mist, enveloping its entire body. Instantly, the ice-fire python engaged Shi Jian and Liu Beichen. The 2 of them cooperated with great chemistry, clearly not their first time working together. Shi Jian was on defense, his bluestone shield blocking most of the attacks, and he constantly harassed the beast with earthen spikes. Liu Beichen was on offense, the longsword in his hand incredibly sharp, unleashing a flurry of sword lights. The ice-fire python hid in the white mist, constantly retaliating with its ice and fire spells. For a time, the fight was a back-and-forth affair. Bai Yu, watching from the side, casually threw out a wind-gathering talisman.
A gust of wind rose out of nowhere, blowing away all the white mist.
Seeing this, Liu Beichen roared, "Blazing Sun Giant Sword." The longsword in his hand grew to over a zhang long and slashed down fiercely, cutting the ice-fire python in half. The 3rd-rank demonic beast, the ice fire python, was dead. The team of 3 had completed their first kill. Bai Yu said proudly, "The 3 of us are too strong. We're just too strong." At these words, Liu Beichen and Shi Jian simultaneously gave Bai Yu the middle finger. They had never seen such a shameless person. Liu Beichen said, "Shi Tu and I did all the work. What does being strong have to do with you?" Bai Yu retorted, "Tisk, a cultivator who doesn't use his brain will be a lay bow for life."
He will show you what the power of wisdom is.
He pointed at the ice fire python. This ice fire python has a spell spirit seal in each of its 2 heads. These are the foundations for it to cast spells and can be used for artifact and formation refining. Each spirit seal can sell for over 100 spirit stones. In addition, its snake gall can be used in medicine, its snake eyes can improve vision, its snake skin can be made into leather armor, and its 2 fangs are also useful. The rest of the parts aren't worth much. All in all, its total value exceeds 300 spirit stones. Shi Jian's eyes widened, and he gave Bai Yu a thumbs up.
Wow, Olbei, you're amazing.
How do you know so much? Bai Yu smiled faintly. In the past 5 years, besides performing burials, practicing martial arts, and creating talismans, he had read all sorts of miscellaneous books. It was because he had absolutely no interest in the sect rankings that he could spend so much time reading these books. Not only that, in the last 5 months, he had specifically gone to the Myriad Laws Pavilion to buy jade slips and gathered information at the market. Bai Yu could be said to have a thorough understanding of the demonic beasts near the Leiyang sect. After the 3 of them cleaned up the ice fire python, they prepared to move on. Bai Yu asked, "How do you plan to hunt beasts?" Liu Beichen replied, "How else do you hunt beasts? We search everywhere for them, and when we find them, we kill them. With my and Shi Tu's skills combined, we should have no problem getting into the top 30. Bai Yu held his forehead. "How could I, a genius like Bai Yu, end up with a brute like you? Follow me, and I guarantee you'll eat well." He took out a compass and followed the Earth's energy to a high ground with a small river flowing below. The area was surrounded by lush trees.
This is the place.
Bai Yu stopped and got busy. First, he set up several formations around the area: the 8 trigrams cloud light formation, the skylocking spirit ceiling formation, and a soundproofing formation. As the formations activated, a thick white mist began to rise. Then he took out a model of a wild deer, placed it in the center of the formation, and draped a deer hide over it, making it look incredibly lifelike. Bai Yu clapped his hands and threw 2 jars to Shi Jian and Liu Beichen. This contains the urine of a female white-tailed deer and the mucus it secretes when in heat. Sprinkle it in the nearby forest. Liu Beichen took the jar. Will this thing really work?
Bai Yu just smiled without a word.
The 2 of them went off to do as he said. After about half an hour, they returned. Shi Jian looked thoughtful. "Old Bai, are you trying to lure white-tailed deer here?" Liu Beichen scoffed. "Tisk, whether it can attract 1 or 2 is another question. Even if it does, spending half a day on this is not as efficient as directly searching the forest for beasts."
Bai Yu said, "Don't believe me?"
"Later when Shi Tu and I are feasting, don't you come begging me." Liu Beichen lifted his head. "I, Liu Beichen, would rather starve to death or jump off a cliff than beg you." Bai Yu smiled faintly and inserted a spiritual talisman into the mouth of the fake deer model.
YYQ.
The model began to emit the calls of a female deer, which drifted out with the wind. If an experienced hunter were here, they would recognize it as the sound of a female deer in heat, calling for a mate. Shi Jian's eyes lit up. What kind of spiritual talisman is that?"
Just a sound mimicry talisman. It can imitate the sounds of most things.
Bai Yu calmly set up a hot pot, waiting for the prey to arrive. As luck would have it, after about half an hour, there was a stir not far away. A magnificent male white-tailed deer emerged from the woods. The buck cautiously made its way forward and entered the range of the 8 trigrams cloud light formation. Instantly, a white light barrier formed around it, trapping the white-tailed deer inside. The deer was terrified. A cold light emanated from its antlers as it rammed the light barrier. Just then, multicolored ropes descended from the sky, binding the white-tailed deer tightly. With a look from Bai Yu, Shi Jian immediately attacked. He took out a long spear and under the cover of the formation, easily killed the white-tailed deer. Bai Yu said faintly, "White-tailed deer, a second-ranked demonic beast. They are in their mating season from July to September each year. Their antlers can be used for artifact refining, their heart can be used in medicine, and their blood is a key ingredient for refining deer blood pills. Occasionally, you can find a musk-like spice. A single second-rank white-tailed deer is worth over 200 spirit stones, not much less than the icefire python." Bai Yu and Shi Jian began to process the deer's carcass. Soon, they had skillfully drained the blood, cut off the antlers, and collected all the valuable parts. They then cleaned up the blood and scent. As for the deer meat and organs, they became the perfect ingredients for their hot pot. The fresh deer meat went into the pot, and with the addition of seasonings, it soon became fragrant. They even set up a grill on the side, roasting liver, kidney and fat, which sizzled tantalizingly. Bai Yu said, sure too, don't be polite.
Eat whatever you want.
Let's dig in. The two of them, along with Lao Mo, began to feast. It was as if they were on a picnic. The nearby Liu Beichen snorted. Just one second-ranked demonic beast, what's the big deal? Other groups have probably already started hunting third-ranked demonic beasts by now. However, not long after, two more bucks arrived. The two bucks saw the female deer model on the high ground, their eyes glowing, and they began to fight each other. But then, several multicolored ropes descended from the sky again, binding both bucks. This time, without Bai Yu's prompting, Shi took the initiative to finish them off. In an instant, they had two more second-ranked demonic beasts, and a lot more hot pot ingredients. Thanks to the bounty of nature. Bai Yu said, his mouth full of oil. As he ate, he circulated the heavenly wolf swallowing spirit art, refining the essence from the deer meat and converting it into heavenly wolf thunder chi. The chi in his body was slowly accumulating and growing. Bai Yu devoured a roasted kidney and said to Liu Beichen, "Old Liu, want one?" Liu Beichen snorted. "Humph, don't think you can tempt me with food." A while later, a set of bowls and chopsticks appeared on the table. Liu Beichen held a handful of roasted meat in his left hand and stuffed hot pot into his mouth with his right. "This is amazing." Just like that, the three of them ate and chatted, enjoying themselves immensely. Every hour or two, a white-tailed deer would deliver itself to their doorstep. They even found a lump of musk once, worth over 300 spirit stones. At this time, other groups of cultivators were deep in bitter struggles. Some were running around, desperately searching for traces of demonic beasts. Others were being chased by third-ranked demonic beasts. Many were even injured, and some had to crush their windfire seals and withdraw from the competition. In comparison, Bai Yu's group of three was living like gods. Bai Yu ate to his heart's content, refining everything he consumed. The chi in his body increased bit by bit. Competing while also growing stronger, was there anything more comfortable than this? At this point, Shi asked curiously, "Old Bai, why did you choose to hunt white-tailed deer? For example, why not the gold-spotted tiger? The gold-spotted tiger is the most famous in the boundless forest." Bai Yu replied, "Because tiger meat doesn't taste good." Liu Beichen and Shi were amused. They never expected this to be the reason. It was so casual. Just because deer meat tastes good? Liu Beichen, holding a skewer of roasted liver, said, "I have another question. How were you so sure there would be white-tailed deer in this hunt? The 100,000 mountains are so big. What if the chosen location didn't have any?" Bai Yu pointed to his head. "Old Liu, I've told you, you need to use your big head to think, not just about hitting on girls. The sect holds the beast hunt in the 100,000 mountains, but the available locations are not many. First, it must be close to the sect so that if something goes wrong, the Golden Core Spirit Lords and nascent soul ancestors can provide quick support." Shi nodded repeatedly in agreement. Right. If a high-ranked demonic beast appears, it would be difficult to provide support if it's too far. And if it's too far, other sects might also interfere. What other restrictions are there? Bai Yu said, "Secondly, the area must be large enough and have enough demonic beasts for thousands of disciples. Third, the demonic beasts' ranks cannot be too high, they must be primarily second and third rank. The high-ranked demonic beasts must be cleared out beforehand, otherwise, it wouldn't be a hunt, but feeding the beasts. With these conditions, the only options are the Boundless Forest, Sunset Valley, and Flying Eagle Cliff. Coincidentally, all these places have plenty of white-tailed deer." At this moment, Shi was filled with admiration.
When even close a door, it must leave a window open.
"Old Bai, your aptitude may not be good, but this brain of yours. I'm impressed." Liu Beichen also said, "Damn, I'm lucky to be teammates with Old Bai. Otherwise, I might get tricked by you one day. Old Bai, let's agree on this first. Tell me which girls in the sect you've set your sights on, and I'll stay away from them." Bai Yu smiled faintly. He didn't mention that he actually had a second plan, to attract another type of demonic beast, the giant horned yellow ox. If the hunt had been in Sunset Valley, the giant horned yellow ox would have been the top choice. But for the current boundless forest, the white-tailed deer was the best option. 5 years of reading day after day, this was called knowledge. Being able to turn knowledge into an advantage, this was called wisdom. Waiter, add another 10 gene of deer meat to the hot pot. This opportunity to hunt demonic beasts without restraint was rare. Eat and drink as one should. He ate and drank with abandon, the heavenly wolf swallowing spirit art working non-stop, rapidly converting the essence of the deer meat into heavenly wolf thunder chi. In just these few days of hunting, his chi cultivation had surpassed years of bitter practice. Now, Bai Yu's heavenly wolf thunder chi had reached 56 points. Once his poison chi became strong enough, he could start to aim for the great Grandmaster realm. Under normal circumstances, Bai Yu would never dare to hunt demonic beasts like this. If he attracted a high-ranked demonic beast, it would be disastrous. This time, it was because the sect's elders had surely cleared out the mid to high-ranked demonic beasts in the boundless forest, leaving only the second and third-rank ones. So, he could hunt freely without attracting any real danger. This was the benefit of having a powerful backer. Many things were much easier for sect members than for rogue cultivators. The three continued their methodical hunt. Every hour or two, a white-tailed deer would deliver itself to them. At one point, when they noticed the deer in the area were becoming scarce, they moved to a new location and set up their formations again. On the sixth day, their storage bags were all bulging. Bai Yu, taking this opportunity, had cultivated his heavenly wolf thunder chi to an extremely robust level. On this day, Liu Beichen patted his well-fed belly. Damn, I've really eaten my fill this time. I must have eaten 300 to 500 gene of deer meat these past few days. Shi Jian also said, when it comes to eating, old Bai is the real champion. He's eaten at least 2,000 or 3,000 gene of deer meat. Bai Yu smiled without a word and added another 10 gene of fresh deer meat to the pot. Liu Beichen said, I really can't eat anymore. Old Bai, take out your mahjong set. Let's play a few rounds. In the past 5 years, Lao Mo had also crafted many things, the most useful of which was a set of mahjong tiles. With a wave of his hand, Bai Yu conjured a table and a set of mahjong tiles. The three of them sat around the table and began to play. When it came to mahjong, Lao Mo was a true expert, and he was beating the other three soundly. Just as they were having a great time, a heaven-shaking roar came from the forest.
A snow white deer, large than a wild bull, walked out from a distance.
Before the deer even got close, a rich fragrance wafted over.
A golden light flashed in Bai Yu's eyes.
A third-rank white-tailed deer king. And it has deer king musk. Liu Beichen exclaimed, we've actually attracted a deer king. This deer king must be incredibly valuable. One deer king is worth 4 or 5 ordinary white-tailed deer.
Bai Yu smiled.
It's more than just valuable. We've hit the jackpot this time. Not to mention the deer king itself, just the deer king musk from its musk gland, if we cut it out and sell it, would be worth no less than 1,000 spirit stones. This is a treasure that can drive away inner demons and calm the spirit. Burning a little during cultivation clears the mind and eliminates distracting thoughts. It can also be used to refine spirit soul pills. Liu Beichen and Shi Jian looked at each other, their eyes filled with excitement. This meant that if they successfully killed this deer king, their names would surely shoot up the rankings. Everyone's breathing grew heavy as they stared at the white-tailed deer king. Fortunately, all three of them were inside the formation, so they didn't have to worry about being discovered by the deer king. At this moment, the white-tailed deer king saw the female deer model and became agitated. However, it did not approach rashly but began to circle from a distance. After half a day, it was still circling but refused to enter the formation. Liu Beichen grew anxious. Old Bai, sure too, should we chase after it? We can't let this deer king get away.
Bai Yu shook his head.
The white-tailed deer clan is known for its agility.
The deer king is a fast lightning.
We can't catch it from this distance. Shi Jian also became anxious. Then what do we do? If the deer king doesn't come in, other bucks won't dare to approach either. We'll be stuck here for the next few days. Bai Yu sighed and took out a shimmering green spiritual talisman from his robes. It was a high-grade spiritual talisman, an illusion shift talisman. The talisman ignited without any wind and transformed into a faint green light that shot out. Suddenly, a magnificent buck appeared in the forest, walking towards the female deer model. The distant white-tailed deer king also noticed this buck and let out a long heaven-shaking cry.
YYQ.
The sound was fast and urgent, clearly a warning for the buck to get lost. However, not only did the buck not leave, it walked up to the female deer and began to sniff its tail. The white-tailed deer king was instantly enraged. A buck dared to challenge its authority. The deer king lowered its head and charged towards the buck like a white storm. It rushed forward and plunged headfirst into the formation. Only then did it realize that the buck was an illusion. But it was too late. A white light barrier appeared around it, and multicolored ropes surged from all directions. Just as the white-tailed deer king was about to be subdued by the formation, a laugh came from the forest. This deer king is ours. Bai Yu used an illusion shift talisman to finally lure the white-tailed deer king into the formation. Immediately, the 8 trigrams cloud light formation and the skylocking spirit ceiling formation activated at full power. Multicolored ropes appeared out of thin air, attempting to subdue the white-tailed deer king. But the deer king was no pushover. A brilliant light erupted from its antlers, shattering all the multicolored ropes. Not only that, it frantically rammed the light barrier of the 8 trigrams cloud light formation, causing the formation to shake violently. As expected of a third-rank demonic beast, its strength was formidable.
The formation alone couldn't hold it for long.
Just as Bai Yu's group was about to make a move, 3 figures rushed out from the forest, laughing loudly. Ha ha ha, the heavens are truly smiling upon us.
A free deer king.
Bai Yu looked closely and saw the burly Lei Bao, leading 2 teammates, emerge from the woods. Bai Yu thought to himself, so it has come to this. A big fight is unavoidable after all. He had long anticipated that this hunting method might lead to conflict with other groups, but he hadn't expected to run into Lei Bao.
What a small world.
At this moment, Shi Jian said, Lei Bao, this dear king. We were the ones who lured it here.
How can you say it's your?
Lei Bao snorted coldly. Shi Jian, if you can't speak properly, then shut the hell up. The demonic beasts in the jungle belong to whoever is capable of taking them. Liu Beichen frowned. So you want to fight us for it? Lei Bao replied, that's right. The rules of this beast hunt don't forbid fighting among fellow disciples. We'll settle our old and new scores at once. Not only this dear king, but all the spiritual items you've acquired must be handed over. In a clash between fellow disciples, accidents can happen. It wouldn't be surprising if 1 or 2 people died. With a roar, he donned a suit of iron armor and a golden hammer appeared in his hand. His 2 companions also revealed their magical artifacts and talismans. At this moment, Bai Yu, while operating the formation, said, Seniors, are you really sure you want to fight? Once we clash, if someone gets injured, the rest of the hunt will be over for them. Is it worth it? Lei Bao's eyes widened in fury.
Cut the crap.
We have 2 Qi refinement level 9 cultivators and 1 at level 8. What mishaps could possibly happen against you? He pointed his golden hammer at Bai Yu. I've disliked you for a long time, you pretty-faced, effeminate brat. A muscle in Bai Yu's brow twitched, and anger flared in his heart. You can insult my friends, but you can't insult me. In that case, a fight is unavoidable.
Olu, Shitu, you go.
I'll support you spiritually. He waved his hand and several spiritual talismans flew onto Liu Beichen and Shi Jian, an armor talisman, a dragon strength talisman, and a rejuvenation talisman. Liu Beichen felt his strength surge and laughed heartily.
Good, good, good. Let's fight.
The longsword in his hand transformed into streaks of golden sword light, attacking Lei Bao. Shi Jian also raised a large shield and counterattacked in coordination with Liu Beichen. Seeing that they dared to fight back, Lei Bao sneered. Fools. Hu Biao Kuangmeng, let's go. Lei Bao led the charge, wielding a massive hammer. His 2 companions followed, one with a saber and the other with a sword, and they clashed with Liu's group. As for Bai Yu, they completely ignored him. A mere Qi refinement level 5 cultivator could be dealt with later. Even Shi Jian and Liu Beichen didn't expect Bai Yu to be of much help. No matter how much wisdom one had, it was no match for raw power. In this kind of direct confrontation, cultivation level was what mattered. The 5 of them instantly engaged in a chaotic battle, dust flying and spiritual light flashing everywhere. Since it was 2 against 3, Shi Jian and Liu Beichen were quickly put at a disadvantage. Fortunately, with the help of Bai Yu's dragon strength talisman, they barely managed to hold their ground. Just then, Bai Yu made his move. He raised his hand and threw out 10 fireball talismans, followed by 10 woodvine talismans, then 10 windblade talismans, and 10 minor lightning talismans. The sudden onslaught of lightning and fire was spectacular. Lei Bao's group was caught off guard and was blasted until their faces were black with soot. Only then did they realize that although Bai Yu seemed to be only at Qi refinement level 5, he was actually a multi-talented and formidable opponent. Bai Yu held a skewer of roasted kidney in one hand, stuffing it into his mouth, while his other hand produced a pile of spiritual talismans as if by magic, relentlessly bombarding Lei Bao's group. What does it mean to be approachable? What is a superpower?
Can you handle this 50 spirit stone attack?
Lei Bao's group was being beaten badly and was in full retreat. Half of Lei Bao's beard was burned off, and he yelled, Damn it, where did this kid come from? Why have I never heard of him in the past sect competitions? Hu Biao was in an even worse state, his head burned bald and his face covered in blisters. He shouted, Brother, we've met our match. This bastard is a talisman master. We can't hold against so many talismans. Shi Jian and Liu Beichen's morale soared, and they launched a fierce counterattack. They had known Bai Yu was a talisman master, but they had no idea he had so many talismans. He was throwing them out as if they were free.
What a pleasant surprise.
Liu Beichen shouted, blazing sun sword light. His longsword hummed and created a dozen sword lights that furiously attacked Lei Bao. Lei Bao hurriedly used a fire snake talisman to defend himself. He shouted, Hu Biao Kuangmeng, you 2 hold them off. I'll go take care of that talisman master. A pained expression appeared on his face as he reluctantly took out an earth shield talisman and slapped it on himself. A yellow light enveloped him, and he disappeared into the ground. The next moment, Lei Bao appeared not far from Bai Yu's side.
Pretty boy, die.
Lei Bao swung his bronze hammer, smashing it towards Bai Yu. The hammer strike vibrated the air, creating a piercing sound. A ferocious smile appeared on Lei Bao's face. A talisman master might be strong, but their close combat ability was severely lacking. This one strike would leave the pretty boy dead or crippled. From a distance, Liu Beichen and Shi Jian were horrified.
Lei Bao, if you'd arrête tout Hurtleby, you'll never forgive you.
They knew that a Qi refinement level 5 cultivator was no match for Lei Bao and might not even be able to block a single blow. Filled with anxiety, they both rushed towards him. However, at this moment, Hu Biao and Kuang Meng brandished their magical artifacts like spinning wheels, holding Shijian and Liu Beichen back. The two of them could only watch as Lei Bao's bronze hammer smashed towards Bai Yu. But Bai Yu was not flustered at all. With a skewer of roasted meat still in his mouth, he waved his hands and activated several spiritual talismans, a Vajra talisman, an earth prison talisman, and a woodwall talisman. 3 layers of defense instantly appeared in front of him.
Bang, bang, bang.
Lei Bao's hammer shattered all 3 defenses, but his momentum was spent. Lei Bao sneered. You can block 1 strike, but can you block 8? 8 desolations, 8 consecutive hammers. He swung his hammer again, delivering 8 consecutive strikes. However, just then, the nearby Lao Mo suddenly charged forward. Lei Bao unleashed 8 consecutive hammer strikes, each one whistling through the air as it smashed towards Bai Yu. Just then, the nearby Lao Mo suddenly burst into action. He moved like a black wind, instantly appearing at Lei Bao's side. With a pounce of his 2 paws, he slammed into Lei Bao. Lao Mo might seem like a mere first-rank spirit beast, but he had been cultivating the heavenly wolf heart method for decades and had eaten plenty of demonic beast meat with Bai Yu. His strength was astounding. In terms of close combat, he was comparable to an innate martial arts grandmaster. Being hit by Lao Mo was like being rammed by a mad bull. Lei Bao let out a grunt, and his entire body flew like a broken kite. At this moment, Bai Yu took out an iron ball and with a loud clang, smashed it on Lei Bao's head. So you're the one called Lei Bao, huh? You wanted to steal my dear king, huh? And you called me a sissy, huh? With each curse, Bai Yu swung the iron ball. The iron ball also flashed with a faint light. Lei Bao was completely dazed, his vision filled with a glowing iron ball repeatedly smashing down, making his head buzz.
What the hell is going on?
Aren't talisman masters supposed to be weak in close combat? Bai Yu used his actions to show others that not only was he multi-talented, but he was also particularly skilled at convincing people with martial virtue, of course. He was just that kind of smug, scholarly talisman master. This beating became a lifelong trauma for Lei Bao. He would often have nightmares, and his dreams were filled with a multicolored flashing iron ball. Lei Bao held his head, beaten until he didn't dare to fight back. Stop. Stop hitting.
Il surrendait, all right.
Bai Yu waved his hand, and several green vine talismans flew out, binding Lei Bao tightly. On the other side, Lei Bao's 2 companions, Hu Biao and Kuang Meng, were dumbfounded. The strongest among them, Lei Bao, had been capsized in a ditch, beaten up by a talisman master. A thought of retreat crossed their minds, and they turned to flee. However, several spider web talismans flew out, blocking their escape route. Soon, Hu Biao and Kuang Meng were also captured. The 3 burly bearded men were tied together, trembling. Lei Bao shivered.
Don't come over. Don't come any closer,
or I'll call for help. Liu Beichen cackled maniacally. Go ahead and scream. No one will come to save you even if you scream your throat out.
The 3 men huddled together.
What? What are you going to do? Robbery, of course. We'll take your money and well, just your money. Shijian swiftly stripped the 3 of them clean. Lei Bao's group had also had a decent harvest, having killed several 3rd-rank demonic beasts. Although not as much as Bai Yu's group, it was more than half. Shijian said, we'll take the beast materials. Their magical artifacts and spirit stones can't be touched, or it will attract the sect's investigation.
Liu Beichen scoffed. TSK.
He turned to Bai Yu.
Olbei, what should we do with these 3 bastards?
Letting them go is too easy. We can't kill them. This beast hunt didn't forbid attacking each other, but if it results in a death, it will definitely attract the sect's investigation. If we really kill someone, we'll be paying a visit to the 3 meals and a bed at the Thunderlaw Hall. Bai Yu smiled mysteriously. Have you guys heard of the Qiongji pine pig? Shijian replied, the pine
Pig?
I think it's a 2nd-ranked demonic beast. It likes to rub pine branches on its body to repel insects and increase its defense. Bai Yu snapped his fingers. Exactly. The pine pig itself isn't worth much, but the Qiongji pine resin on its body is a fine spiritual material and quite valuable. Moreover, they are one of the few demonic beasts that are in heat all year round. Liu Beichen was intrigued. What does that have to do with Lei Bao and his group? Bai Yu said faintly, I have a backup plan for my backup plan for my backup plan, which is to hunt Qiongji pine pigs. The white-tailed deer in the vicinity have probably been hunted to near extinction anyway. So we'll switch to luring Qiongji pine pigs. Hearing this, the pupils of Lei Bao's group shrank.
Broderbe, no.
Soon, Bai Yu's group had finished processing the white-tailed deer king. They moved to a new hunting ground and following the same procedure, sprinkled the urine of the Qiongji pine pig and used a sound mimicry talisman to imitate the mating calls of the pine pig. As for Lei Bao and his group, they were stuffed into a fake pine pig model. Not long after, a plump female pine pig waddled over. Seeing 3 magnificent male pine pigs in the distance, the female pine pig's eyes lit up, and she charged over, kicking up a cloud of dust. Inside the pine pig model, Lei Bao and his group were in agony, their eyes wide with horror, but they couldn't make a sound. No. Soon, the excited cries of the female pine pig echoed through the forest. And this became a lifelong trauma for Lei Bao's group. Do you know how painful it is to be rutted by a pig? It's too painful. This world is not worth it. I'm sorry for being born a human. He turned to the dark side. Just like that, Bai Yu's group started eating hot pot and singing songs again. Every now and then, a Cheongji pine pig would deliver itself to their doorstep. A single pine pig was worth about 100 spirit stones. Although not as valuable as a white-tailed deer, their numbers were large. Once, a group of more than a dozen pine pigs, both male and female, arrived. Lei Bao's group almost died then and there. On the 9th day, the 3 of them stopped. They found a place to hide and wait for the beast hunt to end. The last day would surely be the most intense period of conflict between disciples. They had already made a fortune and had no need to participate. They found a cave, and upon entering, they discovered an unexpected bonus. On the stone wall lived a hive of bees. These bees were the size of a thumb and were entirely golden. The honeycomb was dripping with spirit honey.
Vajra bees.
First-rank spirit bees. Their combat power is extremely weak, but their bodies are hard, and their defense is decent. They can produce 100 flowers spirit honey. Bai Yu's interest was immediately piqued. He had a bee-rearing art. You too, tired of hot pot? Want to try some honey to change things up? Shi Jian shivered.
I don't dare.
I'm afraid of being stung. When I was little, my cousin took me to poke a hornet's nest. My cousin ran away, and I almost died right there. Good heavens, who would have thought that Shi Jian, who looked so tough and burly, was afraid of bees? The mention of bees even cured his stutter. Liu Beichen spread his hands. Well, I have no way of getting it. Old Bai, if you have a way, you go ahead. Bai Yu chuckled and took out a spirit beast bag. He had prepared this for Lao Mo, for times when it was inconvenient to carry him around. He hadn't expected to use it for a hive of spirit bees. Bai Yu threw a pill into the spirit beast bag and chanted an incantation. Soon, the swarm of Vajra bees buzzed agitatedly and flew into the spirit beast bag, leaving behind the honeycomb dripping with honey on the wall. Bai Yu cut off the honeycomb, and the 3 of them shared the spirit honey. This spirit honey was only yellow rank and didn't contain much spiritual energy, but its taste was exquisite, sweet and fragrant with the scent of 100 flowers. The 3 of them ate the honey and roasted meat while waiting for the beast hunt to end. Finally, a voice came from the windfire seal. The competition is over.
All disciples, return.
It was Lai Lazy's voice. Everyone returned to their positions. On the flying ship, 5 golden core spirit lords and several hundred foundation establishment disciples were already waiting. People flew back to the ship in 2s and 3s. Some were excited, some were dejected, and some were injured and crestfallen. Bai Yu's group style was rather unique. The 3 of them and the dog were pulling out various honey and roasted meats as if by magic, eating with their mouths full of oil. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were on a friendly outing. After 3/4 of an hour, Lai Lazy took out a compass and glanced at it, his face impassive. Most of the disciples have returned. The rest must have met with misfortune. Chun Wu, take some people to collect the bodies of the fallen disciples. A late-stage foundation establishment cultivator took the compass and led a dozen people away. Then, Lai Lazy said, Disciples, hand over the materials you have collected. The sect's elders will evaluate their value and calculate your scores. Finally, it was time to rank the results. Everyone was excited. However, at this moment, no one dared to rush forward. Instead, they all looked at a mountain-like young man. The young man was humble and elegant, standing with his hands by his side. Lai Lazy saw this and said, Tiendo, you and your group present your harvest first. The rest will follow according to your competition ranking. The humble young man heard this and bowed to Lai Lazy.
Disciple obey.
He and his 2 companions stepped forward. With a flash of spiritual light from his hand, he swiped his storage bag, and a pile of materials appeared on the ground. Several goat-bearded old men stepped out from behind Lai Lazy and began to inspect and appraise the items. One of the old men said, 1/3 rank Peak Vajra Tiger King, valued at 6,000 spirit stones. 1/3 rank Earth Grey Bear, valued at 1,200 spirit stones. 1/3 rank Feathered Eagle. As the old man announced the prices, a stir went through the disciples.
A Vajra Tiger King.
That was a 3rd rank Peak Demonic Beast, only slightly weaker than a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. The Earth Grey Bear and Feathered Eagle were also not weak. They were both powerful combatants among 3rd-rank demonic beasts. As expected of senior brother Feng Tiendo, the undisputed #1 in the sect competitions for the past few years. In the end, Feng Tiendo's group's harvest was valued at 15,640 spirit stones. Next, 3 female cultivators came forward to submit their materials. 2 of them were a pair of sisters, named Yen Shunhua and Yen Shunying, known as the Yen family's twin trees. They were the 2nd and 3rd place winners of the previous competition and were among the few female cultivators who couldn't be bothered with Liu Beichen. The Yen sisters, along with another female cultivator ranked 16th, had killed a pair of ice child salamanders, also worth nearly 5,000 spirit stones. In the end, the Yen family's Twin Trees group's harvest was valued at 12,980 spirit stones. When it was the fourth-ranked Lei Bao's turn, his group only submitted materials worth 500 spirit stones. Lai Lazy frowned. Lei Bao, what happened to you guys? Lei Bao once again recalled the pain of being rutted by a pig, and his body trembled. But he couldn't bring himself to speak of it. Who could understand the pain of being rutted by a pig? The three of them lowered their heads.
Disciple.
Disciple was incompetent. Lai Lazy glanced at him and snorted. Step down. Next group. The 5th and 6th ranked cultivators were in a group and only submitted materials worth over 6,000 spirit stones. The values continued to decrease, and by the time they reached the teens, the value had dropped to just over 2,000 spirit stones. A 3-person team hunt naturally led to the strong teaming up with the strong and the weak with the weak. The strong would, of course, prefer to team up with other strong cultivators, while the weak could only huddle together. Finally, it was Liu Beichen's turn. Liu Beichen quickly put away his skewers and wiped his oily hands on Shi Jian's clothes. Shi Jian kicked him away. Liu Beichen did a flip in the air and landed gracefully in front of the crowd, drawing gasps of admiration from the female cultivators. With a wave of his hand, he took out 3 bulging storage bags, and a large pile of materials appeared before him. The goat-bearded old man began to calculate. 1/3 rank white-tailed deer king, valued at 2,300 spirit stones. 1/3 rank icefire python, 320 spirit stones. After a round of calculation, the total value was over 4,000 spirit stones. Lai Lazy's expression finally softened. He nodded.
The Liu family's boy, right?
How is your father recently? Liu Beichen cupped his hands. My father is doing well. He asked me to send his regards to Uncle Chen. Lai Lazy nodded. Young Liu, you did well.
You may step down. Liu Beichen said, Uncle Chen, don't be hasty.
I have 2 more brothers. Bai Yu and Shi Jian stepped forward, each with several bulging storage bags at their waists. They both waved their hands, and a pile of spiritual materials, like a small mountain, appeared before them. Even Lai Lazy's eyelids twitched. Good heavens, did these 3 go on a shopping spree? If Feng Tiando and the Yen sisters groups had pursued quality, hunting high-quality demonic beasts, then Bai Yu's group had won through quantity. They didn't have to engage in life-or-death battles, and the danger was not as great. The goat-bearded old men were busy for half a day before finally calculating the price, a total of over 11,000 spirit stones. The crowd was in an uproar. This was currently 3rd place, almost catching up to the Yen sisters. It was too unexpected. And how did they do it? How many beasts did they have to kill? Lai Lazy nodded repeatedly. The Liu family's boy was truly capable. Normally ranked in the teens, he had pulled 2 almost unknown companions up to 3rd place. His methods, his wisdom. They were both first-rate. There had been rumors that the Liu family's boy was a philanderer, a wastrel. Now, it all seemed like nonsense. Lai Lazy looked at Liu Beichen and suddenly thought of his own idle son. The more he thought, the angrier he got, wishing he could fly back and give him a good kick. No, I have to go back and give my Qinwei a beating. The other Golden Core spirit lords nearby heard this and said, Old Chun, you're going to beat your Qinwei? I have to go beat my son too. You two are both doing it? I'll join in. My disciple has been doing all right recently. I'll find a reason to beat him too. Liu Beichen stood before the Golden Core spirit lords, receiving their praise. He truly looked like a dashing, roguish gentleman. Beside him, Bai Yu was secretly pleased. Everyone's attention was on Liu Beichen. Who would have thought that he, Bai Yu, was the mastermind of the group? A Qi refinement level 5 cultivator, he looked like a burden, just there to make up the numbers. Getting the rewards without attracting attention, getting rich quietly was the best. After half a day, everyone's harvest was tallied. Bai Yu's group of 3 had won 3rd place. Soon, the various rewards were distributed one by one. The members of the top 3 teams all received a top-grade spirit artifact. Bai Yu looked at the rewards, 3 top-grade spirit artifacts, a small pagoda, a jade ladle, and a bronze mirror. In addition, there were 3 bottles of True Yang pills, 3 cultivation technique jade slips, and 1,000 contribution points for each of them. Just these 3,000 contribution points were worth more than the materials they had submitted. Seeing so many rewards, Bai Yu couldn't help but feel excited. And that bronze mirror. It looked a bit familiar. The bronze mirror was cast from brass, with a phoenix pattern carved on the back. Bai Yu looked at the mirror and felt a sense of familiarity. He seemed to have seen this style somewhere before. It seemed to be a spoil of war he had acquired from that great Marshal Song Bailey. That's right, it was from great Marshal Song Bailey. The same material, the same design. The only difference was that mirror had a dragon pattern, and this one had a phoenix pattern. Bai Yu's mind raced. Just then, Liu Beichen fell in love with one of the items at first sight. He said cheerfully, 3 bottles of True Yang pills, 1 for each of us. This is a mystic rank high-grade pill that can increase one's cultivation and even help break through bottlenecks. Then he pointed to the jade ladle. Of the 3 top-grade magical artifacts, I've taken a liking to this jade ladle.
No one better fight me for it.
Shurjen asked, why?
Why do you want this jade ladle?
Liu Beichen chuckled. Those who use swords are called swordsmen. Those who use sabers are called sabersmen. I use a ladle, Piao, so I'll be a ladleman, Piaoki. From now on, I will be the man who becomes the #1 Piaoki in the world. Bai Yu was speechless. Why did Liu Beichen have to make things so difficult for himself? As a eunuch, he wanted to be a player and the #1 whoremonger in the world. Wasn't he just asking for trouble? Being a eunuch wasn't just about not being able to sleep with women, he couldn't even touch them. Other than his own mother, touching any woman would cause him immense pain. Even his own twin sister was off limits. It was said that when Liu Beichen was a child, he loved his sister the most. Whenever he cried, his sister would hold him and coax him, and he would soon fall asleep peacefully. It was only when he grew up that he realized he had been passing out from the pain. With Liu Beichen's physical condition, even if a peerless fairy were in front of him, he could only look. Bai Yu said speechlessly, "Old Liu, why do you have to torment yourself?" Liu Beichen said proudly, "Old Bai, you don't understand. If a man has no dreams, what's the difference between him and a salted fish? I want to overcome my weaknesses and challenge all difficulties. So I am determined to be the #1 Piaoki in the world." At this moment, Shurjen said, Old Bai, which one do you choose? I feel that small pagoda is a good match for my cultivation technique. This was exactly what Bai Yu wanted. Coincidentally, I have a fondness for this bronze mirror. I'll choose this bronze mirror.
So, Liu Beichen chose jade ladle, Shijian chose small pagoda, and Bai Yu chose bronze mirror.
Liu Beichen then picked up the 3 jade slips. Let's not pick and choose with these jade slips either. They are configured according to our individual cultivation techniques and attributes. One for each of us.
Shitu, this is your rock armorer. Olbei, this is your fire type fire python.
It seemed the sect was quite thoughtful. The magical artifacts and spells they distributed could be used directly. For example, Shurjen received a small pagoda that was both offensive and defensive, and a special rock armor art. As for Bai Yu, probably because he was not well known and they didn't know what kind of magical artifact suited him, they simply gave him a defensive bronze mirror. Generally speaking, defensive magical artifacts were more precious than offensive ones. Giving him a defensive artifact, he shouldn't have any complaints. The Leiyang sect was indeed the most generous among the 6 major sects to its disciples. Bai Yu took the jade slip and began to read it. After reading it once, the red jade slip automatically turned to dust, and a chapter of a spell scripture appeared in his mind. It seemed this jade slip was also specially made. Only one person could read it, and after reading, the contents would be directly imprinted into their sea of consciousness via a secret method.
Fire python.
A high-grade spell. Can transform fire into a python, with immense power. Compatibility with Fire Feather Sword, 57%. It was another integrable spell. Bai Yu silently invested life experience to fuse the Fire Feather Sword and the Fire Python art. Fusion successful. Obtained Earth rank, low-grade spell, Fire Spirit Transformation.
Fire Spirit Transformation.
Based on the Fireball art, it can transform into various forms such as fire feathers, fire swords, and fire pythons. Different forms have different characteristics. An Earth rank, low-grade spell could already be used as a trump card. Bai Yu was delighted. This beast hunt was truly a worthwhile trip. However, Bai Yu had a question. In previous years' Dragon Tiger meets, the sect would bestow Foundation Establishment pills, and usually, the top 10 would receive them. Why wasn't there a single Foundation Establishment pill this time? Not even for first place. On the other hand, the other rewards were much more generous than in previous years, even including top-grade magical artifacts. It was very strange. Just then, Lai Lazy's voice rose. You have all received your respective rewards. All participants in this beast hunt have been heavily rewarded. Do you know why? The disciples all shook their heads, indicating they did not know. Lai Lazy said, because the Tianmen Mystic Realm, which opens once every 100 years, is about to open. It will be in 5 years. All the Foundation Establishment materials of the 6 major sects come from the Tianmen Mystic Realm. If you want a Foundation Establishment pill, you must earn it with your own hands and swords. As soon as he said this, all the disciples buzzed with quiet discussion.
The Tianmen Mystic Realm?
What is that?
Will it be very dangerous?
No wonder the sect gave out pills and magical artifacts this time, but no Foundation Establishment pills. It seems the 6 major sects are preparing for a big event. Bai Yu's heart sank.
The Tianmen Mystic Realm.
He had seen a few mentions of it when reading various miscellaneous books before, but they were all vague, and some were even erased. In short, the Tianmen Mystic Realm offered great rewards but was also extremely dangerous. Sometimes, the death toll was over half. Lai Lazy let out a low shout, instantly silencing the whispering disciples. These golden words come from my mouth and enter your ears. They cannot be spoken to others. If anyone is found to have spread this information, they will be punished with a thunder whip. He cleared his throat and said, the Tianmen mystic realm is a mystic realm left behind from ancient times. Inside, there is a special type of demonic beast called the pill beast. This beast consumes various spiritual herbs and forms a tail demon pill in its body. These tail demon pills, with a little refinement, can be turned into various pills, including the Foundation Establishment pill. The once-a-century Tianmen mystic realm is the foundation of the 6 major sects' continued prosperity. Bai Yu listened with interest. No wonder the sect changed the dragon tiger meat to a beast hunt. It was to practice for the Tianmen mystic realm. So to get a Foundation Establishment pill, one must go to the so-called Tianmen mystic realm. Although there were many ways to achieve Foundation Establishment in the cultivation world, for example, a cultivator with a heavenly spirit root could directly achieve it, but apart from a heavenly spirit root and the Foundation Establishment pill, all other methods had a huge risk of failure. A single failed attempt could lead to immediate death. Only the Foundation Establishment pill, invented by countless ancient sages, could ensure that even if the attempt failed, there would be no side effects. Bai Yu would definitely use a Foundation Establishment pill to achieve Foundation Establishment. And with his aptitude, 1 pill was definitely not enough. He would need at least 8. But this so-called Tianmen mystic realm was too risky. He definitely did not want to go. Just then, Lai Lazy added, participation in this Tianmen mystic realm is voluntary. Participants will be heavily rewarded, and those who leak secrets will be severely punished. However, all those who enter the sect through the Faxian Assembly must participate. Those who came from the Faxian Valley must participate in the Tianmen mystic realm in 5 years. These words made Bai Yu's heart sink to the bottom. He could imagine how brutal the fighting inside the Tianmen mystic realm would be. After all, they would be fighting for Foundation Establishment pills, which held a fatal attraction for all Qi refinement cultivators. Bai Yu immediately had an idea. Maybe I should find a chance to slip away. This place is not suitable for a long stay. Now was not like when he was in Jiangqing. In Jiangqing, the situation was unclear, and he was worried about his master. But now, slipping away was definitely the best choice. However, Lai Lazy's next words blocked Bai Yu's path. For these 5 years, you are not allowed to leave the sect mountain. Any disciple who leaves the sect will be considered a traitor and will be hunted down by the 6 major sects and 1 city combined. Bai Yu was stunned. Good heavens, the sect was leaving no loopholes. If he were hunted down by the 6 major sects and 1 city, even a golden core spirit lord would have no chance of survival. It seemed there was no way out. An arm couldn't win against a thigh. He had to find a way to prepare for the upcoming Mystic Realm trip. After Lai Lazy finished his instructions, he waved his hand, and the flying ship sped back to the Leiyang sect. Bai Yu said goodbye to Shi Jian and Liu Beichen and went straight back to Zuowang Peak. However, as soon as he returned to Zuowang Peak, he found someone was already there. A fat Qi refinement level 7 cultivator was smiling like a Maitreya Buddha.
Junior Broderbe, right? My name is Zhao Yu.
I'll be your partner for the next few days. Bai Yu cupped his hands. So it is senior brother Zhao.
The smiling cultivator Loged Artili. Junior Broderbe, you are free.
You can leave Zuowang Peak. I will be taking over for you from now on. Bai Yu was surprised. Senior brother Zhao, I have no intention of leaving Zuowang Peak. Zuowang Peak was a place with excellent feng shui, practically tailor-made for him. And the recent beast hunt would surely bring some funerals. With a wave of rewards just around the corner, how could he leave so easily? Zhao Wuyo was also stunned. Zuowang Peak was filled with yin energy, which was piercingly cold during cultivation, and the contribution points were not high. Everyone else couldn't wait to escape this sea of suffering. Why was this junior brother Bai so reluctant to leave? Zhao Wuyo's gaze towards Bai Yu changed. Could it be that this junior brother Bai has some special hobbies? The more painful it is, the more he likes it? Bai Yu hurriedly explained, Senior brother Zhao, you don't understand. My aptitude is extremely poor, and I don't usually cultivate much. This Zuowang Peak is extremely quiet, perfect for a stable retirement. As for the yin energy affecting cultivation, if I don't cultivate, it won't be a problem. Zhao Wuyo had a sudden realization. So that's how it is. Since junior brother Bai has no intention of leaving, then the two of us will work together. The sect would be happy to have more people on Zuowang Peak. Junior brother Bai, how about this? You take care of the funerals in the morning, and I'll take care of the afternoon and evening. An idea struck Bai Yu. Burials were usually in the morning, rarely were there any in the afternoon or evening. It seemed this Zhao Wuyo was also trying to slack off. But this was exactly what Bai Yu wanted. He was worried someone would come and take a share of his funeral participation rewards. So Bai Yu nodded. Then we'll do as senior brother says. After chatting with Zhao Wuyo for a bit, Bai Yu went straight back to his own cave dwelling. He first activated the protective formation and then had a good long sleep. He slept more soundly than he had in a long time. When he woke up, he felt refreshed and stretched lazily before starting to process his harvest. A phoenix-patterned bronze mirror appeared before him. All top-grade magical artifacts had a special refinement heart method, and this bronze mirror was no exception. You refined it according to the heart method passed down by the sect.
The bronze mirror flew back and forth in the air, emitting a soft, clear light.
Only then did you understand the mirror's function. It was a top-grade defensive magical artifact, the phoenix-patterned ancient mirror. Its defense was excellent, and it could automatically sense and defend against enemy attacks.
A truly good treasure, Bayutuk Tapili.
He then took out the other bronze mirror. After a round of refinement, a white light shot out from the dragon-patterned ancient mirror, turning a chair into stone. It turned out these two mirrors were a matching set of top-grade magical artifacts, one for offense and one for defense. They were considered a rare treasure even among top-grade magical artifacts. After admiring them for a while, you put away the mirrors and began to think about the Mystic Realm trip in 5 years. Without a doubt, I should increase my own strength as much as possible and prepare a few more trump cards. After some careful thought, you finally confirmed his main goals for the next 5 years. First, to cultivate fire spirit transformation to grand completion and try to raise its rank. Second, to increase his cultivation and magical power as much as possible. Third, to raise his martial Dao cultivation to the great Grandmaster realm. Among these, the most certain was cultivating fire spirit transformation. All he had to do was grind its proficiency and then pour in life experience. Not long after, a lot of life experience was delivered to his door. More than a dozen disciples had died accidentally in the previous beast hunt, and 3 of them ended up in the Zhuowang Peak Cemetery. You silently sent the 3 of them off one by one.
Dust to dust, earth to earth.
From the Yellow Springs, there is no return. Funeral successful.
Reward, Thunder Spirit Route +2, Life Experience, 52,901.
Optional rewards, Spell Experience, 45,819, Purple Lightning Art, Minor Lightning Art, Thunder Induction Art, Rushing Thunder Cloth Demon.
Funeral Participation, 66%.
1 additional optional reward can be chosen. Funeral successful. Reward, 5 months of cultivation, life experience, 88,888. Optional rewards, Dragon Soaring Art, Spell Experience, 34,519, Flying Dragon Heart Method, Magical Power +12, Fireball Art, Sword Riding Art.
Funeral Participation, 69%.
1 additional optional reward can be chosen. The rewards from the first 2 funerals were quite ordinary. You thought for a moment and chose the Spell Experience, which could be used to increase the proficiency of his spells. Then, he looked at the reward from the third person. Funeral successful.
Reward, Magical Power +25, Life Experience, 100,000.
Optional rewards, Fire Spirit Root +2, Ice Heart Art, Ice Thorn Art, Netherworld Thorn, Ice Flood Dragon Art, 100 Flowers Nectar Wine, Sky Soaring Art.
Funeral Participation, 56%. Family Satisfaction, 81%.
2 additional optional rewards can be chosen. This third person had family participating, so he could choose 2 optional rewards. Without any hesitation, you first chose the Fire Spirit Root +2. Then, after a moment of thought, he chose the mid-grade Spirit Wine, 100 Flowers Nectar Wine. This wine, brewed from 100 flowers and spirit honey, not only had an exquisite taste but could also steadily increase one's cultivation. This feeling of continuous harvest is so good. Every time the Leiyang sect had a large-scale event, it was basically a blessing for you. If they won, he could follow along and get some benefits. If they lost, people would surely die, which also suited him.
No matter what, Bayou and flows.
After collecting the rewards, you poured all the life experience and spell experience into the spell Fire Spirit Transformation. Fire Spirit Transformation proficiency increased to grand completion, perfected.
10,000/10,000,000. Fire Spirit Transformation, Grand Completion, perfected.
Finally, you had raised his first spell to the perfected realm. At this moment, a flame-shaped shadow appeared in his sea of consciousness, a spirit seal. This was a special mark born after a spell reached grand completion. With a spirit seal, he could cast the spell instantly without any hand seals or incantations, equivalent to a demonic beast's innate spell. In fact, Qi refinement cultivators rarely used high-power spells in combat, usually relying on talismans and magical artifacts. The key reason was that high-power spells were very complex to cast, requiring incantations, hand seals, and specific spiritual energy circulation paths. Only by cultivating to a high level could the casting time be greatly shortened. But how many Qi refinement cultivators would dare to spend a large amount of time on spells? Only a freak like you could cultivate a spell to grand completion in the Qi refinement stage. Curious to test its power, you casually waved his hand and condensed a flaming arrow. The flaming arrow shot out, but halfway, it transformed into a huge fire python, which slammed into the 8 trigrams cloud light formation, creating a loud boom. The formation's light barrier actually showed signs of being overwhelmed. The 8 trigrams cloud light formation was a formation that could withstand attacks from late-stage chi refinement cultivators, yet it was almost broken by a single spell. Bai Yu nodded to himself. A grand completion level fire spirit transformation is fast to cast and powerful. It can serve as a trump card. The only problem is the high spiritual power consumption. With my current magical power, I can only cast it 3 times in one night. After 3 times, my body will be completely drained. His cultivation was still too low. Bai Yu spent a considerable amount of time refining the True Yang pills given by the sect. This was a mystic rank high-grade pill, extremely precious for chi refinement disciples. With the help of the True Yang pills, he finally raised his cultivation to chi refinement level 6. His celestial path panel now looked like this. Name, Bai Yu. Celestial path cultivation, chi refinement level 6, 12%.
Magical power, 666. Spirit root aptitude, gold, 5, water, 12, fire, 35, wood, 16, earth, 24. Cultivation technique, avant Liang scroll, minor accomplishment.
Divine abilities / spells, fire spirit transformation, grand completion perfected, dragon soaring divine form art, minor accomplishment, sword riding art, mastered, etc.
Skill, ultimate talisman crafting art, 8 yang wind art, first glimpse of the door.
After stabilizing his cultivation, Bai Yu couldn't help but sigh. After so many funerals, his fire spirit root aptitude had only caught up to that of an ordinary cultivator. The path of immortality was truly difficult. According to Bai Yu's calculations, an ordinary 4 spirit root cultivator had a single element spirit root value of around 30 to 50. A spirit root value of 100 was considered good aptitude, comparable to a dual spirit root cultivator. A heavenly spirit root or a powerful spirit body would probably have a single element spirit root value of over 1,000.
Bai Yu shook his head.
Cultivating on his own was too slow. Funerals were much more efficient. Unfortunately, the number of disciples buried on Zwang Peak each month was not large. After all, many people preferred to be buried in their family tombs or wanted their remains to return to their hometown. After thinking it over, Bai Yu decided to focus on talismans. The silver frost reeds he had planted before had just been harvested. Bai Yu reaped a large pile and made several hundred sheets of talisman paper. With his brush moving like a dragon, he drew many talismans. This time, they were all mid-grade spiritual talismans. Selling a 5th of them would earn him a decent amount of spirit stones. He took the spiritual talismans and left Zwang Peak. He didn't rush to sell them but first went to the Myriad Laws Pavilion. Half a day later, he left with 3 new spells, the Fireless Art, the Firebird Art, and the Earth Flame Art. These 3 spells could all be integrated with Fire Spirit Transformation. Unfortunately, they were all only Mystic rank spells. Earth rank spells in the Myriad Laws Pavilion could only be exchanged by inner disciples or Foundation Establishment cultivators. Bai Yu fused these 3 spells with Fire Spirit Transformation.
Obtened new spell, 7-fold Fire Spirit Transformation, Earth rank, low grade.
Has 7 different transformations. Although it didn't advance in rank again, the power of Fire Spirit Transformation had increased considerably. Bai Yu nodded slightly, confident that with a few more integrable spells, he could raise it to the Earth rank. After that, Bai Yu exchanged all his contribution points for 5th rank True Yang pills. After doing all this, he went to the Bamboo Shadow Pavilion to find Ho Haitao. Today was the Tianxi Society's regular gathering, and there were already many fellow cultivators there. Bai Yu entered the Bamboo Shadow Pavilion and looked around but didn't find Ho Haitao. It was strange, the usually enthusiastic senior brother Ho was actually late. Bai Yu wasn't in a hurry. He sat on a stone bench, watching the wind blow through the bamboo forest outside. The waves of the bamboo sea were quite a serene sight. At this moment, 2 cultivators walked past the bamboo forest, looking very happy. One said, "Brother Chen, the pills I recommended to you last time were good, right?" Brother Chen smiled. "Brother Zhu, those pills of yours were indeed good. Inexpensive and effective. After I went back and refined them, my cultivation advanced rapidly. It's like a day's progress is equivalent to 1,000 miles compared to before."
He can't live a single day without those pills now.
An idea struck Bai Yu. What pills were inexpensive and effective, and could allow one's cultivation to advance 1,000 miles in a day? Even True Yang pills, a high-grade pill, couldn't do that. He couldn't help but feel a bit curious. He stepped forward and cupped his hands. "Senior brothers, I wonder what pills you are discussing? Could you let this junior brother have a look?" The 2 of them looked at Bai Yu, their faces showing vigilance. Brother Chen said, "Fellow Taoist, you must have misheard. What pills? We brothers were just chatting idly." An idea struck Bai Yu. He took out a dozen spirit stones. "Senior brothers, how did a few of your spirit stones fall into my storage bag?" Seeing this, the 2 exchanged a knowing smile. Brother Chen said, "Junior brother, you're being too formal."
We are all fellow disciples. What spirit stones are you talking about?
But his hands moved quickly, swiftly taking the spirit stones. It's like this. A new type of pill has recently become popular in the cultivation world, called the Showang Dan. Taking one can increase your magical power by 15 days, and the price is very cheap, less than 20 spirit stones. Bai Yu was shocked. The effects of this Showang Dan were a bit too miraculous. It was basically equivalent to 1 spirit stone for a day's worth of magical power. This cost-effectiveness was miles ahead of the true Yang pill. Bai Yu was intrigued. There's such a miraculous pill? Where can I buy it? Brother Chen said, to be honest, we don't know where this pill comes from either. It's all passed around privately. I have a few bottles here. If you want them, I can sell them to you a little cheaper. Bai Yu thought for a moment and spent 110 spirit stones to buy a bottle of 5 Showang Dan. He opened the bottle, and a rich, sweet medicinal fragrance wafted out. The Showang Dan was the size of a finger, bright red, and as translucent as jade. But for some reason, Bai Yu felt an instinctive repulsion. This was his martial Dao's spiritual sense reacting. It seemed there was a problem with this pill. Bai Yu silently put away the pill bottle. At this moment, Ho Haitao's cheerful laughter came from behind him.
Junior Broderbe, long time no see.
Bai Yu turned around and saw that Ho Haitao had completely changed. He was wearing an expensive robe made of celestial silk, which was waterproof, fireproof, and protective. 3 bulging storage bags hung from his waist, and his wrists and neck were adorned with magical artifacts. It seemed Ho Haitao had struck it rich. Bai Yu cupped his hands and smiled. Senior brother Ho, it's been a while. It seems you've been doing well recently.
Où est ta hologed?
Not at all, not at all. I just made a little bit of spirit stones. These are all worldly possessions. Only one's cultivation is real. Only then did Bai Yu notice that Ho Haitao's cultivation had also improved significantly, reaching Qi refinement level 8. In his impression, Ho Haitao's aptitude was also extremely poor, otherwise, he wouldn't have joined the Tianqi society. He hadn't expected his cultivation to improve so quickly. Bai Yu cupped his hands in congratulation and then said, Senior brother Ho, I've recently drawn a new batch of spiritual talismans. I wonder if you're interested. Ho Haitao pulled Bai Yu to sit down. To be honest, junior brother, I'm no longer in the business of buying and selling. But what's our relationship? Since you've asked, just give me this batch of talismans. I'll arrange for someone to sell them for you, and I won't take any commission. He patted his chest and promised, Junior brother, if you need anything else, just ask. This Ho Haitao was an honest man. He hadn't forgotten his old friends even after getting rich. He just liked to lecture and urge people to cultivate. Other than that, he had no major flaws. Bai Yu wasn't pretentious. It's like this, junior brother. I want to cultivate a few fire-type spells. Could I trouble senior brother Ho to help me collect some?
The higher the rank, the better.
He handed over a jade slip. These are the ones our sect already has, so you don't need to trouble yourself with them. Ho Haitao heard this and patted his chest.
Det est simple. Leave it to me.
It's just a matter of running a few errands. Bai Yu was delighted. If he could find a few more integrable spells, his fire spirit transformation would surely undergo a qualitative change. After chatting with Ho Haitao for a bit, Ho Haitao started his usual lecture. Junior brother, we cultivators are all for longevity and eternal life. We must cultivate diligently in our prime. Bai Yu had to put up with a lot of this before he could get away. He then bought a lot of things at the Tianqi Society's exchange meeting, such as spirit grass seeds and winemaking materials. It was only when the sky grew dark that he returned to Zhuowang Peak. As he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw a horse-drawn carriage pulling a coffin into the Tinglin Hall.
But you found it strange.
Why was someone coming for a funeral so late at night? And the ruts from the carriage wheels were very deep. The coffin looked much heavier than a normal one. Just then, the steward Zhao Wuyo came out, a little surprised.
Junior Broderbe, why are you back so late?
Bai Yu didn't show any trace of suspicion on his face. I drew a few spiritual talismans and went out to sell them, which took some time. Senior brother Zhao, we agreed, I'm not responsible for the funerals at night. I'm exhausted today. I need to go back and get some good rest. Zhao Wuyo seemed slightly relieved. Of course. Junior brother, you just go back and rest. I'll take care of everything here. Bai Yu yawned and cupped his hands in farewell to Zhao Wuyo. After Bai Yu left, a gloomy-faced cultivator appeared behind Zhao Wuyo. Will this person ruin our plans? Should we? He made a throat-slitting gesture, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Zhao Wuyo said, we can't do it on Zhuowang Peak, or it will attract suspicion. Senior cultivator Lung, having an outsider here is, after all, not so safe. Zhao Wuyo said with a grin, no matter. In a few days, I'll find an excuse to get rid of this kid. When he leaves Zhuowang Peak, you find a chance to take care of him. Then it will have nothing to do with me. He still had that smiling Maitreya Buddha expression, and his tone was still as pleasant as a spring breeze, but he was talking about murder and frame-ups. At this time, Bai Yu had returned to his own cave dwelling. He immediately activated several formations, the 8 trigrams cloud light formation, the soundproofing formation, and the spirit sealing formation. There's something not right with that Zhao Wuyo. But he had no intention of investigating further.
Curiosity qui aide the cat.
The more one knew, the more dangerous it was. As long as Zhao Wuyo didn't come looking for trouble, he couldn't be bothered. He just wanted to peacefully perform funerals and cultivate, preparing for the Tianmen mystic realm in 5 years. Bai Yu shook his head, clearing out the distracting thoughts. He took out a pile of spiritual items and began to try brewing 100 flowers nectar wine. 3 shang of spirit rice, various spirit fruits and flower petals, mixed with spirit honey. He had brewed plenty of blazing sunfire wine in the mortal world, and his winemaking skills had long reached the grand completion stage. After a flurry of activity, Bai Yu solemnly sealed the wine jar and buried it underground. In just 81 days, the 100 flowers nectar wine would be ready. In a good mood, Bai Yu took out a true yang pill and began to meditate. Half a month later, he felt his cultivation had improved considerably. Cultivation, Qi refinement level 6, 20%. The true yang pills these days were not in vain. A bottle of true yang pills sold for 700 or 800 spirit stones. It was expensive, but the effect was indeed good. Bai Yu estimated that to reach Qi refinement level 9, he would need to consume over 100 bottles of true yang pills. This price was something even a third-ranked talisman master couldn't afford. And that was without encountering a bottleneck. If he hit a cultivation bottleneck, no amount of pills would help. This showed how important cultivation aptitude was. Life is not easy, Bai Yu sighed.
Just then, the sound of a funeral bell came from the foot of the mountain.
More business had arrived. Bai Yu grabbed his tools and went to the foot of the mountain. He saw a man in black pulling a coffin made of plain wood with an ox cart. He handed Bai Yu a bag. Junior brother, my senior brother died unexpectedly. I have urgent matters to attend to and cannot stay long. Please bury my senior brother as soon as possible. Bai Yu weighed the bag. It probably contained a few dozen spirit stones. He checked the disciple token and other items to confirm there were no problems. Senior brother, please rest assured. I will bury him as soon as possible. The man in black said anxiously, there's no need for a wake.
Please let my senior brother be buried in peace.
Bai Yu nodded and lit 3 incense sticks. A page of information appeared on the funeral register.
Funeral target, Wang Tian. Identity, l'ayant sec tous tes disciples. Status, undergoing corpse transformation.
Cultivation, Qi refinement level 9.
Base reward, magical power plus 50, life experience, 490,000.
Optional rewards, Azure Wave Scroll, Water Dragon Scroll, Water Condensation Art, with Spirit Root plus 5, Spirit Grass Planting.
Funeral participation.
Bai Yu was suddenly alarmed. The person in this coffin was undergoing a corpse transformation. Bai Yu said with a serious expression, Senior brother, according to the sect's rules, a fellow disciple's burial requires a 3-day wake in the cleansing hall to dispel all kinds of resentful and murderous energy. In reality, this rule was rarely followed, but Bai Yu was sticking to it, so no one could blame him. The man in black became anxious.
Junior brother, can you be a little flexible?
I really have urgent matters and can't stay here long. He handed over another bag, this one bulging, looking like it contained over 100 spirit stones. But Bai Yu not only didn't take it, he even returned the previous bag. He said righteously, this is a rule set by the sect. Who dares to violate it?
Could it be
that there is a problem with the coffin you brought, senior brother? Bai Yu's gaze was sharp, pressing the man in black. Could it be that there is a problem with the body you brought, senior brother? Bai Yu's gaze was sharp, pressing the man in black. The man in black hurriedly said, How? How could that be possible? I just have urgent matters and have no time to delay here. Bai Yu said, in that case, senior brother, you can rest assured and go back. I will handle this funeral properly. The man in black was at a loss for words. Bai Yu was extremely sharp. Seeing the man's expression, he immediately realized something was fishy. If he had taken the spirit stones and directly buried the coffin on Zhuang Peak, and a few days later the corpse transformed and caused damage, he would be charged with taking bribes and dereliction of duty. At best, he would lose his position. At worst, he would become a guest of the Thunder Law Hall. This was clearly a trap set specifically for him. An ordinary person would have no way to avoid it. Bai Yu said patiently, What, is senior brother having a hard time?
The man in black hurriedly said, No trouble at all.
Then I'll have to trouble you, junior brother.
He'll be leaving now. The man in black left in a hurry.
Bai Yu, on the other hand, pulled the coffin into the cleansing hall. Since he knew it was going to transform, it was easy to handle. The cleansing hall had a great formation set up by the sect. No matter what kind of demon or ghost, after a 3-day wake inside, they would be reduced to smoke and dust. Sure enough, as soon as the coffin was sent into the cleansing hall, the formation inside immediately activated. A sizzling sound came from inside the coffin, and streams of white gas rose from it. There were even beast-like roars and the sound of fingernails scratching the coffin lid. Bai Yu smiled faintly, took out a ledger, and began to record. On the 12th day of the 9th month of the Jiayin year, one plain-wood coffin was sent in, showing signs of transformation. As long as he followed the rules, no one could find fault with him. After finishing the record, Bai Yu began to think. He usually kept to himself and had very few enemies. Who would want to harm him? And someone who could use this kind of method must be very familiar with the affairs of Zhuowang Peak. His brain worked rapidly, and he soon locked onto a target, Zhao Wuyo. Zhao Wuyo himself was strange. Why would a Qi refinement level 7 cultivator want to suffer on Zhuowang Peak? He must have a special mission. If there was no personal grudge, then it was likely he had unintentionally gotten in the way. Bai Yu had probably gotten in Zhao Wuyo's way, which was why he had tried to use this method to get rid of him.
A cold qui flashed in BUSAT.
I just want to peacefully perform funerals. Why do people always have to come and disturb me? Since Zhao Wuyo had made a move against him, he would not back down. He had to find a way to bury Zhao Wuyo. Of course, this had to be planned for the long term, with complete preparation. He would not act until he was sure of a fatal blow. Bai Yu did not make a scene and continued to perform funerals and cultivate as usual. 3 days later, he buried the coffin with a transformed corpse.
Dust to dust, earth to earth.
From the Yellow Springs, there is no return. Successfully buried Qi refinement level 9 Huang Tian.
Reward, magical power plus 50, life experience, 490,000.
Optional rewards, Azure Wave Scroll, Water Dragon Scroll, Water Condensation Art, Wood Spirit Root plus 5, Spirit Grass Planting.
Funeral participation, 77%.
One additional optional reward can be chosen. He had to admit, the reward for a Qi refinement level 9 was indeed generous. Bai Yu currently had just over 600 points of magical power, and this one gave him 50 points. The more magical power he had, the longer he could fight, and the more spells he could cast. And this time, the life experience was as high as 490,000. As for the optional rewards, Bai Yu still chose the Wood Spirit Root plus 5. Bai Yu thought for a moment and invested all the life experience into his foundation establishment cultivation technique, the Heavenly Yang Scroll. Heavenly Yang Scroll proficiency increased to grand completion, perfected.
10,000/10,000,000.
With a slight circulation of his technique, Bai Yu could feel that his cultivation speed had doubled, and his cultivation limit had also increased. He could now complete 64 cycles in a single day.
Bai Yu let out à l'ombris. 10 is not enough.
I must have a few more trump cards to deal with unexpected situations. Bai Yu thought for a moment and decided to create a set of linked talismans. Linked talismans were a combination of the same type of talisman that could be detonated simultaneously, allowing low-rank talismans to rival the power of higher-rank ones.
Bai Yu chose a mystic rank, high grade fire flute dragon talisman.
If he succeeded, it would be comparable to an earth-rank spirit talisman. As was his custom, before drawing the talismans, he first paid his respects to Lord Guan. Bai Yu lit an incense stick for Lord Guan and burned a spirit ingot. Then, he took out 12 sheets of talisman paper and began to write with his brush moving like a dragon. Linked talismans required one to draw all 12 in one go, without any pause. During this process, he also had to use a special method to form the spiritual nexus, linking the 12 talisman nexuses together. Unsurprisingly, something went wrong. Halfway through, all the talisman papers exploded simultaneously, almost blowing the roof off his house. Bai Yu's face was covered in black soot, as if he were the reincarnation of Lord Bao. Fortunately, his physical body was strong, otherwise, he would have really gone to see Lord Guan this time. Bai Yu took a deep breath and began to pray to Lord Guan. Disciple is creating talismans today.
Please, Lord Guan, protect me.
If I succeed, I will burn a few bottles of Dragon Tiger Vigor Pills for you, so you can properly discipline Diaochan and the Chao sisters. After calming his mind, Bai Yu continued to draw the talismans. And what do you know this time, the drawing was surprisingly smooth. The 12 Fire Flood Dragon talismans were completed in one go. Bai Yu admired the linked talismans for a moment, his heart filled with joy. Moreover, by creating the linked talismans, the proficiency of his Fire Flood Dragon talisman had increased significantly, much more than if he had drawn 12 separate talismans. That night, Bai Yu dreamed of Lord Guan riding Diaochan towards him. Bai Yu was shocked and asked, Lord Guan, where is your chariot? Lord Guan replied, don't mention it. The Oxhead and Horseface saw me driving my three-wheeler with a red face and insisted I was driving drunk. They confiscated both the vehicle and me. If you hadn't burned those few spirit ingots for me, I'd still be serving my sentence. Bai Yu had a sudden realization. No wonder he hadn't dreamed of Lord Guan for so long. He had been re-educating himself in jail. He immediately patted his chest and promised to burn a bicycle for Lord Guan. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about being caught. The next day, a golden bee landed on a flower. After collecting the nectar, it flew towards the mountainside. A moment later, it flew to a young man in white and began to do the waggle dance. This young man was Bai Yu, and the bee was one of his tamed Vajra bees. Bees were one of the few first-rank spirit pets that could transmit information. Since it was inconvenient for Bai Yu to act himself, he sent the Vajra bee out to gather information while it was collecting nectar. He muttered to himself in a barely audible voice, a total of 35 new graves. I buried 5 of them. The remaining 30 must have been buried by Zhao Wuyo. How could there be 30 deaths in just over a month? And most of them were brought in at night. There's something strange about this. Bai Yu had checked the ledger, and the numbers did match up, but it was still very abnormal. Moreover, the wheel ruts near the new graves looked very shallow. But Bai Yu remembered that the coffin he had encountered that night with Zhao Wuyo was very heavy, and the wheel ruts were very deep. Bai Yu seemed to have grasped something. It seemed it was necessary to take a further step. Since Zhao Wuyo had made a move against him, Bai Yu would naturally retaliate. That night, he circulated the turtle snake reverse spirit art and stuck a shadowless talisman on himself. With his grand completion level turtle snake reverse spirit art, unless it was a foundation establishment cultivator, it would be extremely difficult to discover him. His entire person became a faint shadow, completely blending into the darkness. He made his way to the foot of Zhuowang Peak and waited quietly. After an hour or two, it was the middle of the night. A horse-drawn carriage approached from a distance, pulling a coffin. Zhao Wuyo opened the great formation and let the carriage in. A thin man jumped down from the carriage. Zhao Wuyo seemed to be handling the coffin exchange normally, but as the two walked side by side, he used his spiritual power to transmit his voice. Don't send any more for the next month. I suspect the last incident has already alerted Bai Yu. The thin man transmitted back, that's unlikely. He shouldn't suspect you, Zhao Xiong. After all, it wasn't you who made the move last time. Zhao Wuyo replied, never underestimate anyone.
This is real life, not a storybook.
We are not the protagonists, and others are not brainless side characters. It's better to overreact than to reveal a flaw.
The Taman Siged.
With a pause, a lot of white, shiny spirit stones would slip away. The two of them seemed perfectly normal as they entered the Zhuowang Hall. They didn't notice that on a large rock not far away, there seemed to be an extra layer of thickness. It was Bai Yu. He had used the stone transformation art to merge with the rock. In his ears were 2 small spiritual talismans, mystic rank, mid-grade spirit sound talismans. This type of talisman could greatly enhance one's hearing and had a certain ability to decipher voice transmissions.
Bai Yu heard bit and piece of the conversation.
Although there wasn't much key information, it was enough to prove that the previous attempt to frame him was related to Zhao Wuyo.
Not long after, Zhao Wuyo and the Taman came out.
Zhao Wuyo handed over 2 bulging storage bags and transmitted his voice again. Remember, don't send any more coffins for a month. I will come to find you in a few days. We'll talk again after we've dealt with Bai Yu. The thin man nodded slightly, and his figure disappeared into the darkness. In the following days, Bai Yu became even more diligent, not leaving Zhuowang Peak at all, guarding the Zhuowang Hall from morning till night. In Zhuowang Peak, Zhao Wuyo couldn't personally make a move against him, because if he did, even if he got rid of Bai Yu, a fool could figure out it was him. Zhao Wuyo still wore his smiling Buddha face. He said with a grin, Junior brother Bai, why are you being so serious?
Junior brother, you go back and rest first. I'll watch over things here.
Bai Yu said, Senior brother Zhao, you don't know. The last time, I was almost negligent and something almost happened. I get scared just thinking about it. It's better to be careful with funerals. We should just do as the sect prescribes. Zhao Wuyo chuckled. Then we'll do as you wish, Junior brother Bai.
With you here, I'll go back first.
For the next half a month, everything was calm and peaceful.
Not a single funeral came to the door.
However, Bai Yu did not let his guard down in the slightest. He believed that Zhao Wuyo would not give up. Sure enough, that afternoon, a bronze coffin was sent over. The afternoon was Zhao Wuyo's responsibility. He sent the bronze coffin into the Zhuowang Hall and was about to transport it to Zhuowang Peak for burial. Bai Yu said calmly, Senior brother Zhao, this is against the rules. The sect stipulates that all cultivators to be buried must have a 3-day wake in the cleansing hall. Zhao Wuyo laughed.
Junior brother, why are you being so foolish?
If we followed the rules to the letter, it would be so much trouble. In all these years, who has ever actually followed the rules? Bai Yu said, I'm just mentioning it. Senior brother, don't take it to heart. He did not interfere with this funeral and let Zhao Wuyo handle everything. Zhao Wuyo buried the bronze coffin. Looking at the new grave, a faint, almost imperceptible cold smile appeared on his lips. He glanced back at Bai Yu, who was still meditating at the foot of the mountain.
Just you wait. Tonight is your death day, my dear junior brother Bai.
At night, the world was as black as ink.
A mournful cry suddenly came from the new grave, like a cat in it or a baby crying. Then, a white shadow flew out.
It was faintly visible as a long-haired woman in white, her tongue hanging out long. The white shadow's feet seemed to stick to the ground as it flew swiftly through the night sky. Soon, it arrived at Bai Yu's wooden house. The light barrier of the 8 trigrams cloud light formation was emitting a soft white light.
The white shadow est enfin grey ou long, sharp nail.
With a forceful swipe of its 10 fingers, with a Sheila sound, the 8 trigrams cloud light formation was broken in a single strike.
The white shadow let out a shrill log and charged into the wooden house.
Instantly, the wooden house was filled with fiery light. Boom. A heaven-shaking explosion turned the entire wooden house into dust. This was the linked fire flood dragon talisman that Baiyu had prepared. Following that, a high-pitched roar echoed through the air, the sound shaking the heavens. This was another spiritual talisman, the 100 Li sound talisman. Its only function was to produce a heaven-shaking sound that could be heard for 100 Li. At the foot of the mountain, Zhao Wuyo's expression changed. What was that sound? A ghost creature close to the Foundation establishment stage had failed to kill Baiyu silently? Did the ghost succeed or not? He flew rapidly towards Baiyu's wooden house. He saw that the original wooden house was gone, replaced by a large crater. Some tattered cloth, which was what Baiyu had been wearing today, was scattered around. And the ghost creature had also disappeared. Only then did Zhao Wuyo feel relieved. It seems they took each other out. This was actually a better explanation.
Just then, a red light flew over from the horizon.
A Foundation establishment elder, holding a jade plaque, arrived swiftly. The elder shouted, "What's going on? Why was there such a loud noise?" Seeing this, Zhao Wuyo hurriedly bowed. Disciple Zhao Wuyo pays his respects to Elder Wu. His original plan was to have the ghost creature kill Baiyu, and then during the day, he would dispose of the ghost and report to the elder. He hadn't expected a little accident. The ghost and Baiyu had taken each other out, directly attracting the elder. But Zhao Wuyo had a contingency plan for this too. Disciple just arrived here as well. Junior brother Bai illegally transported a coffin up the mountain. It turned out the body inside had already turned into a demon ghost. At night, this demon ghost came to find junior brother Bai, and it seems they took each other out. In any case, he would just push all the blame onto Baiyu's head.
The dead can speak, after all.
Elder Wu snorted coldly. An illegal burial led to disaster. His death is well deserved. Just then, a voice came faintly from the darkness. Senior brother Zhao, you're trying to wash your hands of this a little too cleanly. Baiyu's figure emerged from the ground, appearing before the two of them. He was not dead. Baiyu had long anticipated that Zhao Wuyo would make a move against him. He had prepared the linked fire talismans in advance. He had even made a dummy, dressed it in his clothes, and put it to sleep in his bed. He himself had concealed his aura and hidden in a hole in the ground. Seeing Baiyu appear, Zhao Wuyo was shocked, but he still put on a smiling face.
Junior brother Bai, you're all right.
This
is wonderful.
Baiyu snorted coldly. It was clearly you, senior brother Zhao, who insisted on an illegal burial, allowing the ghost to enter Zwang Peak. Zhao Wuyo's expression changed. Junior brother Bai, it's not right for you to shift the blame like this. This ghost was clearly let in by you. Elder Wu snorted coldly. You two are arguing back and forth. Do you have any evidence? Baiyu smiled faintly and took out an item. It was a shadow recording stone. Its only function was to record some images. In the image, Baiyu was advising Zhao Wuyo to follow the procedure, while Zhao Wuyo was saying there was no need to be so troublesome and that in all these years, no one had ever really followed the rules.
Elder Wu's face darkened.
Zhao Wuyo's words couldn't be said to be wrong, but once they were brought out into the open, it was a big problem. Elder Wu said coldly, Zhao Wuyo, you were derelict in your duty, letting this demon ghost into the mountain and almost killing a fellow disciple. What else do you have to say?
Communism to the Thunderwall.
Beside him, Baiyu was overjoyed. This venomous snake Zhao Wuyo was finally going to suffer. If you don't kill a snake, it will come back to bite you. Since he had made a move, he had to cut the weeds and dig up the roots. Another item appeared in Baiyu's palm, ready to add another nail to Zhao Wuyo's coffin. However, just then, Zhao Wuyo took out a jade plaque. The plaque was pale yellow, with a tiger head carved on it. He said, Elder Wu, there is more to this matter. Allow me to explain it to you in detail.
Let's go to the Zwang Hall to talk.
Elder Wu's face, which had been full of anger, changed drastically when he saw the jade plaque. Then I'll hear what you have to say. With a wave of his hand, he took Zhao Wuyo into the Zwang Hall, leaving Baiyu standing in the wind. He frowned, sensing that things were not looking good. This time, Zhao Wuyo would have been skinned alive if not dead. And with the thing Baiyu had prepared, he could have almost certainly sealed his fate. But Zhao Wuyo had produced a jade plaque that had made Elder Wu change his attitude. It seemed a reversal was highly likely.
Something is not right.
What's the origin of that jade plaque? How did it make Elder Wu suddenly change his mind? Countless thoughts flashed through Baiyu's mind, and he finally put away the item in his hand. Not long after, Elder Wu came out with Zhao Wuyo. Elder Wu said with a righteous and awe-inspiring expression, Zhao Shiji was negligent for a moment, causing some harm. He will be fined 3 months' salary. Baiyu thought, as expected, a reversal. Such a major negligence, almost killing Baiyu, resulted in only a 3-month fine. At this moment, Elder Wu looked at Baiyu, his expression unfriendly. As for you, I have checked the ledger, and there are many errors and omissions. Bai Yu immediately realized that Elder Wu was trying to find fault with him. He was definitely going to use a small problem to punish him heavily. He couldn't let Elder Wu continue. Once they tore off all pretenses, there would be no room for maneuver. Bai Yu directly interrupted Elder Wu. I have long heard from Brother Liu Beichen that Elder Wu has always been impartial and just in enforcing the law. Senior Brother Zhao's negligence almost got me killed, and even my cave dwelling was blown up. It is only right that he should compensate me for my losses. Elder Wu was stunned. Liu Beichen was the son of Liu Qianqiu, a Golden Core Lord. Bai Yu nodded faintly. That's right. Brother Liu and I are sworn brothers. During the beast hunt, he specifically pulled me, a Qi refinement level 5 cultivator, into his group, and we ended up getting 3rd place. He could only pull the tiger's skin to make a flag now, using Liu Beichen's father's name to intimidate Elder Wu. Elder Wu heard this and seemed to be deep in thought. He swallowed the words he was about to say and put on a smiling face. Bai Shiji, after I looked at your ledger, I found it to be clear and organized. You are diligent in your work, without a single mistake. As for the compensation you mentioned, there is some truth to it. You and Zhao Shiji can settle it yourselves. He actually just washed his hands of the matter. He had thought Bai Yu was a soft persimmon he could knead as he pleased, but it turned out the surnamed Bai was a close friend of a Golden Core Lord's son. It seemed he was not so ordinary either. Now, he couldn't be too biased. Elder Wu ignored the two of them and went to check on the traces of the ghost creature. After confirming there were no problems, he actually just left Zhuowang Peak. In Zhuowang Peak, Bai Yu and Zhao Wuyo stood opposite each other. Both had wanted to use the situation to kill the other, but neither had succeeded. Now it was awkward. Seeing each other every day was the worst.
The Erwas sud en liquier.
Zhao Wuyo was the first to regain his smiling Buddha face. He said with a grin, Junior Brother Bai, we have both survived a great disaster. This must mean we are destined for great things. We will have to work together again. Bai Yu also smiled. Yes, it's good that nothing serious happened. Zhao Wuyo said, Junior Brother Bai, this Wang Peak is not very safe. You should think it over. The implication was for Bai Yu to voluntarily withdraw from Zhuowang Peak. Bai Yu smiled faintly. I've been here for several years, and it's always been safe.
Amafre if il leaves Zhuowang Peak, ILLB even less saf.
Bai Yu's meaning was that they were already in a life-or-death situation. Even if he voluntarily withdrew, Zhao Wuyo would surely kill him to silence him. On Zhuowang Peak, it wasn't so easy for him to make a move. The two of them were all smiles, but their hearts were filled with killing intent. Bai Yu said, Senior Brother Zhao, what about my house? Zhao Wuyo sneered inwardly. You're about to die, and you're still thinking about your losses. I'll let you be smug for a while. He said with a cheerful smile, this was my negligence. Of course, I will compensate you in full for the damages. Bai Yu was not polite and immediately started calculating. My cave dwelling had many useful things, pills, formations. And I am a talisman master. Many of my finished spiritual talismans were destroyed. After a round of calculations, Bai Yu made a lion's demand of 3,000 spirit stones. Both sides knew that since Bai Yu had prepared in advance, he definitely hadn't left any valuable items behind. Although Zhao Wuyo maintained his smile, the fat on his face was twitching, and his heart was filled with murderous intent. You damn thief, do you really think you can slaughter me like a cow? But he said, Junior Brother, what you said is right. But I don't have that many spirit stones at the moment. I'll pay you 500 first. He handed over a storage bag. Bai Yu took the bag and pushed his luck. It doesn't matter if you don't have that many spirit stones. What's our relationship? Senior Brother Zhao, you must have plenty of pills and spiritual materials on you. They can be used as payment. I'm not picky at all. Oh, and for the rest, Senior Brother, remember to give me an IOU. Zhao Wuyo clenched his fist, his nails digging into his flesh, but he still smiled cheerfully as he handed over his pills and magical artifacts, and even wrote an IOU. Bai Yu didn't give him a good face and practically stripped him naked before leaving with a pile of things. Although he hadn't managed to get rid of Zhao Wuyo, at least he had fleeced him soundly. After Bai Yu left, the veins on Zhao Wuyo's face stood out, and he slammed his fist into a nearby tree, his hand bleeding.
Damn thief.
Damn thief.
I'm going to fucking kill you.
I must activate the second plan. Bai Yu and Zhao Wuyo had torn off all pretenses, both wanting to kill the other. That night, Zhao Wuyo left Zhuowang Peak and went to a cave dwelling to find the thin man. Zhao Wuyo said coldly, activate the second plan. We must get rid of that thief Bai Yu. The thin man was shocked. What? Are we really going to use a foundation establishment cultivator? Just to deal with a mere Qi refinement level 6. It wasn't easy for Lord Hu to cultivate a foundation establishment pawn. Zhao Wuyo slammed his palm on the table in a rage.
What do you know?
This mere Qi refinement level 6 has probably already discovered our business. He just hasn't caught any hard evidence. If we don't kill him now, you, me, and even Lord Hu will be in big trouble. The thin man's face finally changed. I'll go see Lord Hu right away. Zhao Wuyo took a moment to compose himself, forcibly regaining his smiling Buddha face. As soon as possible. Remember, as soon as possible.
Don't worry, brother Zhao.
This time, we will definitely be able to get rid of that surnamed Bai. Meanwhile, Bai Yu was not asleep. Under the moonlight, he went to a new grave. He had always had a question: where did Zhao Wuyo get so many dead bodies? 30 bodies in over a month, that was more than Bai Yu buried in a year. There was definitely something wrong here. Bai Yu forced out a drop of golden sparrow blood and drew a blood talisman in his palm. Finally, he slapped it on his forehead. A faint white light flashed in his eyes, and he developed a strange sense of the Earth's energy around him. He could use the Earth's energy to probe the various situations underground. Following the streams of Earth energy, Bai Yu sensed that the coffin in this grave was empty. There was no body inside. Bai Yu checked several new graves in a row, and they were all empty. Only then did he have a sudden realization. There weren't that many dead people at all. Then a new question arose. He remembered that the coffin he had encountered before had very deep wheel ruts, definitely not like an empty coffin. This meant that there was something in the coffin originally, but it had been taken out before it went up the mountain. A bolt of lightning seemed to flash through Bai Yu's mind, and many past events suddenly connected. So that's how it is. There is only one truth. He had roughly figured out the whole story. A group of people wanted to smuggle things out of the sect, but they were worried about arousing suspicion, so they targeted the funeral route. After all, no one would seriously inspect a dead person's coffin. The most important node in this funeral route was Zuowang Peak. That was why that senior brother Go had come to recruit him. After Bai Yu refused, he had developed killing intent. The rest was simple. This group had sent Zhao Wuyo to Zuowang Peak, and then worried that Bai Yu would find out, they had struck first, trying to get rid of him several times. Bai Yu had even guessed what this group was smuggling, 99% sure it was Shouwang Dan. Although he had figured out the whole story, there was still one crucial problem. Bai Yu had no direct evidence. Zhao Wuyo's group was meticulous and had surely destroyed all hard evidence. With just inference, speculation, and a few empty graves, he couldn't bring down Zhao Wuyo. If Bai Yu wanted to report it, none of the elders would believe him. He might even be killed to silence him. The moonlight, like water, shone on Bai Yu, his expression changing. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and made a decision. If there's no evidence, then I'll create some. A Shouwang Dan and a handkerchief appeared in his hand. This handkerchief was a low-grade magical artifact he had obtained from Zhao Wuyo during the day. Bai Yu wrapped the Shouwang Dan in the handkerchief, placed it on the ground, and then swiftly drew several blood talismans in the air. Instantly, the nearby earth energy surged, and the handkerchief and Shouwang Dan sank into the ground, disappearing in an instant. After doing all this, Bai Yu quickly left and returned to his cave dwelling. He took out a Shouwang Dan and examined it carefully under the light of a moonstone. This was the legendary pill that could increase one's cultivation by half a month with just one pill. He didn't know if it was his imagination, but he always felt that this pill gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. Could this be a demonic path pill? Only the legendary demonic path could increase one's cultivation so quickly. But Bai Yu was not an alchemist and couldn't tell what was what. After a long while, he slapped his head. That's right.
The Zixu Fu scripture recorded a type of auxiliary spirit talisman, the pure yang talisman.
This talisman can sense all kinds of demonic, sha, and yin energy. I'll just draw a pure yang talisman and test it to find out. Bai Yu calmed his mind and began to draw the talisman. Even as a third-ranked talisman master, it was still difficult to master an unfamiliar talisman. After failing several times, he finally succeeded in drawing a pure yang talisman. By the time Bai Yu finished, the sky was already bright. He was about to test it when the jade plaque at his waist chimed.
The bell rang 7 times in a row.
Bai Yu was stunned. 3 chimes meant a funeral, 5 meant someone was coming for seclusion, and 7 meant a foundation establishment cultivator was coming for seclusion. Am I going to bury a foundation establishment cultivator today? Bai Yu quickly packed his things and rushed to the foot of the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there was indeed an old man in a yellow robe and a group of disciples. Zhao Wuyo was already standing respectfully to the side. Bai Yu stepped forward and bowed. Junior Bai Yu pays his respects to Senior.
A golden light flashed in the yellow-robed old man's eyes. Oh, so you are Bai Yu.
I am Miao Cho. Today, I have come to Zuowang Path to head to the cliff of life and death for seclusion. You will be my funeral attendant. Under normal circumstances, Bai Yu would be overjoyed to be able to bury a foundation establishment cultivator. A foundation establishment cultivator. He couldn't imagine how generous the funeral reward would be. But at this moment, he felt a faint sense of unease. Why would this elder Miao Cho directly choose him as the funeral attendant instead of Zhao Wuyo, who had arrived earlier? But in front of a foundation establishment cultivator, he had no room to refuse. He cupped his hands. As Senior commands, this junior will naturally obey. Miao Cho smiled faintly and walked step by step onto the Zuowang path. Bai Yu had no choice but to follow from a distance. Finally, Miao Chou arrived at a cliff face. On the cliff were countless carved-out stone caves. Below the cliff was a pile of square bricks carved from stone. Miao Chou chose a stone cave and sat inside, saying faintly, "You know the rules of the Cliff of Life and Death, don't you?" Bai Yu hurriedly replied, "The Cliff of Life and Death is where seniors at the foundation establishment stage and above come to comprehend life and death. The funeral attendant must deliver clear water and pills every day and seal the cave entrance with a brick. When the cave is completely sealed, the seniors will meditate inside, either achieving seclusion, breaking through a bottleneck and emerging, or passing away. Sealing a brick every day, watching death approach step by step. Either one breaks through the bottleneck under the pressure of death, or one directly passes away." Even Bai Yu, who was used to life and death, found this a bit unsettling. Miao Chou laughed at himself. Break through and emerge? It's not that easy. From ancient times to the present, only a few have managed to break through at the brink of death. He looked at Bai Yu. "Today at noon, you will seal the first brick for me." Disciple remembers. Bai Yu nodded and turned to leave. At this moment, the funeral register suddenly flickered. A storm raged in Bai Yu's heart. Bai Yu's heart suddenly tightened. He saw a page of information appear on the funeral register.
Funeral target, Miao Chou. Status, Demon Seed attached.
Identity, Leiyang Sect Outer Elder. Cultivation, Early Foundation Establishment.
Base reward, Fire Spirit Route +15, Life Experience, 1,7,000.
Optional rewards, 5 years of cultivation, Heavenly King Nourishing Chi Art, Coiling Dragon Heart Method, Sea of Flames Art, Magical Power plus 120, Talisman Dao Experience, 990,000, Martial Dao Insights.
Funeral Participation, 1%.
He hadn't expected that this Miao Chou, while still alive, would have a panel appear on the funeral register. Perhaps it was because entering the Cliff of Life and Death was no different from being dead. The funeral reward for a foundation establishment cultivator was indeed generous. Just the life experience was over 1 million. But Bai Yu had no heart to look at the rewards. He had discovered that Miao Chou had a special status, Demon Seed attached. This was not a good sign. Bai Yu became extremely vigilant, but on the surface, he still walked down the mountain at a leisurely pace. He hadn't gone far when Miao Chou's status changed again. Miao Chou, incubating. With each passing moment, the incubation progress increased. A storm raged in Bai Yu's heart. He instantly understood that this Miao Chou was clearly a tool Zhao Wuyo was using to deal with him. He could imagine that when he went up the mountain to deliver water and seal the brick, he would be facing a demonized foundation establishment cultivator. Would he have any chance of survival? Bai Yu's back was drenched in sweat. After going down the mountain, he arrived at the Zuowang Hall. At this moment, he was sitting on pins and needles, his heart filled with anxiety, but he had to pretend to be calm on the surface. The nearby Zhao Wuyo sneered inwardly. This Bai Yu fellow is dead for sure this time. The smile on his face grew more pronounced, and he kept glancing at Bai Yu. He was immensely pleased with his own scheme. Any rule and system had loopholes. The rules of Zuowang Peak were very complete for the dead, but for the living who came for seclusion, there was a big loophole. What demon or ghost would be so idle as to mix into Zuowang Peak for seclusion? And this loophole was discovered by him, Zhao Wuyo, at a glance. By using the excuse of seclusion, he had brought in a foundation establishment cultivator controlled by a demon seed, all to completely annihilate Bai Yu. The most brilliant part was that there was great terror in life and death. A senior who came to the Cliff of Life and Death for seclusion could very well go mad from chi deviation. There had been many precedents of a cultivator going mad before death and killing the funeral attendant. So as long as Miao Chou killed Bai Yu, the rest could be covered up with ease. The smile on Zhao Wuyo's face grew wider and wider, and the killing intent in his eyes was almost unconcealed as he looked at Bai Yu. At this moment, Bai Yu's heart was growing more and more alarmed. On the funeral register, Miao Chou's demonization progress was steadily increasing.
62%, 89%, 95%.
And at this time, the sun in the sky reached its zenith. Noon. Zhao Wuyo suddenly stood up and said with a smile, "Junior brother Bai, it's time for you to go deliver water and seal the brick for Elder Miao."
A-t-il ran trou Bayuesat?
If he went to seal the brick now, he would have to face a fully demonized foundation establishment cultivator. It was certain death. He said calmly, sealing the brick. "This is not something senior brother Zhao should worry about. I will definitely go today. There is no rush." Zhao Wuyo said coldly, "Elder Miao personally instructed that the brick must be sealed at noon. Noon is the time of day when the yang energy is at its peak. It is an auspicious time. Does junior brother Bai want to miss the auspicious time and cut off Elder Miao's chance of survival?" As soon as he said this, a group of cultivators swarmed in from outside the hall. This group all claimed to be Elder Miao's disciples, each one filled with righteous indignation. "You damn thief, your intentions are malicious. You want to delay the auspicious time and cause our master to lose his chance of survival. This is despicable. Bai Yu, if you dare to miss the auspicious time, we brothers will, even at the risk of being punished by the sect, kill you."
Junior Broder, you must note delay.
Otherwise, even if we go to the sect to reason, we will be in the right. For a time, the crowd was in an uproar, and many even drew their magical artifacts and talismans. If Bai insisted on not going, they would swarm him and kill him on the spot. Then, with the law not blaming the masses and them having the righteous cause of standing up for their master, the sect wouldn't be able to punish them too severely. Seeing this, Bai knew that this group had been brought by Zhao Wuyo to force him. He had tried to leave earlier but had been blocked by this group. His mind raced, and he shouted, "Who said I'm not going? Who said I want to miss the auspicious time? The hour of Wu has 8 quarters. The 53rd quarter is the time for executing criminals. Are you treating Elder Miao as a criminal?" This sentence stunned the crowd. They didn't know how to refute it for a moment. Bai had the inheritance of an yin-yang master. Arguing with him about yin-yang superstitions was like an amateur trying to show off in front of an expert. At this moment, Zhao Wuyo said with a cheerful smile, "Since the 53rd quarter is not acceptable, then I'll give you 3/4 of an hour. After 3/4 of an hour, you should go up and seal the brick, right?" Elder Miao's disciples all stared at Bai, their eyes filled with murderous intent. Seeing this, Bai gritted his teeth.
Fine.
"At the 54th quarter, I will go seal the brick." Zhao Wuyo sneered inwardly. "I'll let you live for another 3/4 of an hour. What does it matter? In 3/4 of an hour, you'll still be dead." Bai sat in his chair, a group of people staring at him, not giving him any chance to escape. Time ticked by second. On the funeral register, Elder Miao's demonization progress had reached 100%. The hall was frighteningly quiet, only the sound of the water clock dripping, drip, 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 like a countdown to death, or the footsteps of Yama constantly approaching. A drop of water fell. The 53rd quarter was over. Zhao Wuyo's lips split into a smile. He shouted, "Send junior brother Bai on his way." Many people drew their weapons with a chong sound, staring at Bai with unfriendly expressions. If Bai refused again, he would definitely be swarmed and killed on the spot.
Bai slowly stood up. "I'm going now."
Zhao Wuyo said with a grin, "Junior brother Bai, don't think you can be sneaky and run away halfway. Elder Miao's dozens of disciples are not as easy to talk to as I am." Bai glanced at Zhao Wuyo without a word. He took the clear water and the jade bone pill, left the hall, and began to walk towards the cliff of life and death. Elder Miao's disciples followed closely behind, like a pack of wolves. Zhao Wuyo revealed a victorious smile.
Junior Broder Bai, he will miss you.
Bai remained calm, walking step by step up the stairs. In front of him was a demonized Foundation establishment cultivator, and behind him was a group of tiger-like cultivators. At this moment, it was a life-or-death situation, with no room for advance or retreat. A fierce thought flashed through Bai's mind. Damn it, with my life-saving methods, I might have a chance. He held 2 spiritual talismans in his hand and walked step by step towards the cliff of life and death. Just then, a loud shout came from outside Zwawang Peak. "Junior brother Bai, hurry up and bring this old lady her wine. Junior brother Bai, hurry up and bring this old lady her wine." This loud shout came from a distance. Bai was overjoyed. A stone in his heart finally fell. His reinforcements had arrived. He quickly flashed the token at his waist, opening a path in the Great Formation. Senior Sister Yan Li, along with Lu Beichen and Lao Mo, arrived in a flurry. Yesterday evening, Bai had made a decisive decision. He had Lao Mo find Lu Beichen, and then had Lu Beichen find Senior Sister Yan Li, saying that Bai had brewed a jar of fine wine and invited her to come and taste it. He had been stalling all this time to wait for Senior Sister Yan Li to arrive. Senior Sister Yan Li landed beside Bai and looked around. "Whoa, what's going on here? Such a big commotion. Could it be that the wine you're offering is some kind of world-shakingly fine wine that has attracted so many people?" Zhao Wuyo was shocked. Damn it, a senior sister has appeared out of nowhere. This is going to be harder to clean up now. But he immediately made a decision. The most important thing now was to kill Bai first. He gritted his teeth and said, "Senior sister, junior brother Bai has an important task right now. He has to attend to a Foundation establishment elder's funeral and seal the brick. Drinking cannot interfere with the sect's mission." Bai said calmly, "Senior sister, come with me. The wine is buried near the cliff of life and death." Senior Sister Yan Li looked back and forth between Bai and Zhao Wuyo with interest.
"All right, then I'll go with you."
Lu Beichen, seeing that something was wrong, placed a hand on his storage bag. Lao Mo had already moved to the front to clear a path for Bai. The group walked up the stone steps and arrived at the cliff of life and death. From a distance, they could see Elder Miao in seclusion. He was sitting cross-legged, his eyes closed, his face peaceful and serene. Only Bai knew that he had been completely demonized. Zhao Wuyo